now. What are you paying? Do you even know? I didn't know what I was paying until I looked into it about a year and a few months ago and said, you know what? I wonder how much lower the rates are right now. And it turned out drastically lower. We purchased our home about 5 years ago, and the rates have gone down significantly. We've saved a ton of money using the bagel loan with Stewie, which you can only get the bagel loan at Stewart's American Mortgage, and he's not going to charge you fees that other lenders will charge you for up front. Save a boatload of money or do your refi and shave those years off the length of your loan. Own your home quicker and with less interest payments. 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Reach out to Stewie today. Mention the Annie Frey Show. When you do, you can Google the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
97.1 FM Talk.
Sean Hannity, Dave Glover, Annie Frey, Brian Kilmeade, Mark Cox. That's the lineup backward. Reminding you that you can rewind anytime at 971talk.com. The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Seats. We picked up seats in the House, which no one expected. We won a governor's race. We flipped a state legislative chamber and kept all the chambers they thought they were going to flip. I mean, Republicans turned out, and they did for President Trump too. And that's how we're going to pursue these legal challenges, not just because we support President Trump, but we support the voters that stood hours in line that feel like they're being disenfranchised by votes being found in the middle of the night. We just had it happen in Georgia. Some of our poll watchers are seeing some suspicious activity, and we need to understand that. And these clerks and these poll watchers should not be able to shut the door and shut down transparency, and that creates unrest. And those are the types of things that are wrong. We should all be able to watch the process so we can go back and say this was a fair election, and that's why we're suing in these states.
That's Ronna McDaniel, the GOP chairwoman, reacting to, some of the news that nobody's really talking about because we're so caught up right now with the presidential election, which is, of course, to be expected. But the amount of victory that Republicans had over the course of Tuesday is pretty substantial. And we're watching as we continue to see these House elections go into Republican favor. This is a pretty substantial thing, one way or the other. I feel like I said this yesterday on Twitter. If Joe Biden ends up being the president, which I feel like is default right now, like it's going to be Joe Biden unless these court cases end up being successful, which they absolutely could. And you know what? If this is the first thing of Donald Trump's second term, what he goes through the voting process, and we learn about the extent of election fraud. I mean, we all know that there are going to be, 100% of the ballots aren't going to be perfect. We know that is going to be the case. We know that there are going to be situations where you could have an absentee ballot and any election get garbled up in the mail and honestly get lost. It's not a perfect process. It won't ever be a perfect process. But how bad and corrupt is the process actually? Maybe it's not nearly as bad as we ever thought it was going to be, and maybe now we will find that out. This coming from somebody who lives in the state of Illinois, and I just kind of assume that there's this massive amount of fraud that's taking place in every election. Maybe it's not nearly as bad as I anticipated that it is. Maybe it's incredibly worse. If the court cases allow us to find out what is actually taking place, if the court cases allow us to investigate what is really the problem and the extent of it, I think that we will be better off in the long run. But it feels kind of like a purposeful brush fire where everything has to burn so that it can grow back better. And it's overwhelming. I want to go to Nevada right now. The officials in Clark County, Nevada are giving an election update. Let's listen in here and see what they have to say.
U.S. Postal Service on election day and yesterday, and also some additional ballots that we had pending because we had to stop processing to begin getting ready for election day support. So on election day at the drop-off locations at all vote centers and the election department, there were 34,743 ballots dropped off. The U.S. Postal Service, as of election day and yesterday, brought to us 4,208 ballots, and there were 24,311 ballots that were pending when we stopped processing to get ready for election day. So that brings us to a total of 63,262. Today, staff is preparing to count and has already begun counting a little over 51,000 ballots that will be reported tomorrow prior to my 10 a.m. brief. It's important that everybody understand that there are also additional ballots that are pending outside of what I just described. So I'm briefly going to go through those. The provisional ballots that were cast during the early voting on election day. The first announcement that I need to make is that the posting that was placed on our website on election night and yesterday was incorrect. We determined that our tabulation software was incorrectly duplicating those records, and so the 120,000 that you may have seen on our website is an incorrect number. That has been corrected, and the post that is out on our website now at www.clarkcountynv.gov/vote is correct, and those provisional ballots number a little over 60,000. We have to coordinate very closely with the Secretary of State. We are a bottom-up, not a top-down voter registration jurisdiction, and so all 17 counties need to send information to the Secretary because there's not one single database that we all draw from. We all have our own. And so in coordinating with the Secretary of State, we're awaiting instructions from them on when to send our provisional listing up to them, because we need to make absolutely certain that nobody who's casted a provisional ballot here in Clark County has done so in another county. So we're waiting instructions from them on when to send that report so we can make that verification. Staff is still currently working on all of those provisional ballots to make determinations as to whether the voter was eligible to cast that provisional ballot. That work will be ready once we notify the Secretary of State, and it is an automated process to pass those provisional ballots into the tabulation system. We have a group of voters who are ID required for one reason or another. The deadline for those voters to get back to us is Friday, November 6th at 5 p.m. So that is another group of ballots that we will need to put into the system once they have come in to provide their ID. The U.S. mail will continue to deliver. So starting tomorrow through next Tuesday, which is the last day for us to receive a mail ballot that's been postmarked November 3rd, we will continue to receive mail. So again, those ballots are also separate from what I previously reported. The cure process in Nevada, which is statutorily required for those voters who have been notified that they either did not sign their ballot or their signature did not match in our system. They have until Thursday, November 12th to cure that ballot. The last day that we can tabulate and send ballots into the system is November 12th. So that night we will stay here until we are done entering ballots into the system, because statute clearly tells us that we must be done counting by that date. With that information, we hope that I've clarified a lot of the questions. We are anticipating to have the bulk of our mail ballot that have been received into the system by Saturday or Sunday. Those ballots that are coming in through the U.S. mail or that are being cured would be a small number, and we will continue to put those in. But the bulk of our ballots we're hoping will be read by Saturday or Sunday, this weekend. And again, we won't complete until November 12th with all of those other ballots that serve as exceptions. So with that information, I've got a short period of time here where I can answer some questions from you.
Why such a slow count? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering, the Trump campaign is alleging the counting of improper votes here in Clark County. What is your response to that?
My response is that we are not aware of any improper ballots that are being processed.
They have not presented any evidence to reporters. Have they presented any evidence to you?
Not directly that I'm aware of.
And there's also some concern that Clark County is counting relatively slowly. I put that in quotes. Is that the case here? Are you counting faster than 2016?
I think it's important for the entire country to understand that mail ballots on this scale is very new to the state of Nevada. We made a decision here to provide as much access as we possibly could as a result of the pandemic. And so our processes run a little bit slower. We also have to make sure that our data is being updated because we need to prevent people from voting twice in the system. And so we have to scan those in as mail received so that it updates the database so our in-person voters can't have voted twice. We're still receiving information from our election day laptops. That'll be complete today. So we're going to update and make sure that all of the information was downloaded from all 1,300 of those laptops that were used on election day to make sure that the automated system will reject mail ballots for somebody who has voted on election day. So our goal here in Clark County is not to count fast. We want to make sure that we're being accurate. The results in the state of Nevada obviously are going to be very important to the entire country, and that is our number one goal.
What's the outstanding number? One more time, the outstanding number?
I just went through the whole thing.
What's the total? What is the total?
Well, I went through a long process. How about we get together after this?
Why is it taking so long if you can count 70,000 a day?
I think I just answered that question.
You said deliberately, but if you have the capacity, why aren't you doing it?
Because they're not available, sir. There are many steps in the process. So the first process is that we run it through our Agilis machine. Then there are 2 manual processes. Then it goes to the counting board, and then it goes to tabulation.
60,000 ballots.
I need you to speak up, sir. I can't hear your question.
Over 60,000 ballots.
What do you say about that?
You said that 51,000 are already being counted. Now tomorrow you give this information before your 10 a.m. read. If they're already counted, why give the information tomorrow?
I did not say they were already counted. I said today the staff is prepared to count 51,000 ballots that are ready to be counted today. Those will be reported tomorrow at 10 a.m. right there next to you. Folks, I really need you all to speak up. I cannot hear you.
Of the more than 60,000 provisional ballots, does that include the number that need their ID certified by Frey, or is that separate number? I didn't hear a number for ID.
Those are separate, and that's why I listed in my statement that those are separate from the numbers that I reported first.
This is Joe Gloria. He is the Clark County, Nevada voter registrar, and he's a little testy. He's like, I just told you. You're asking these questions, and he's like, I just said.
Hey, what are those numbers? You mean the numbers I just told you?
Yeah, it's like talking.
It's not his fault they weren't paying attention.
This is the same conversations I have with my children.
I just said it.
Although when you're listing a whole bunch of things, as somebody who, like I can take in a whole bunch of information, but if you're trying to scribble down notes or whatever, you hear what you hear, but then you want to, if you're the reporter, you want to make sure you get the highlights, right? You want to make sure that you get the headline that people are wanting to know. So asking for a clarification or a repeat, like maybe he should just say the freaking number. Am I wrong? I don't know.
No, I think you're totally right. And especially in these states that we're still counting ballots. And today is day 2, day 3 after the election. I can't count right now. See, this is what's happening. Quarantine brain. But if you have like these many days after the election and you're still counting ballots, people want to get those numbers right because there's a lot of misinformation out there right now about these numbers. So you want to be accurate.
So we're going to take a quick break here. And when we come back, Congressman John Shimkus is going to join us. He is the representative in the 15th Congressional District, and he did not run for re-election this year. And so he's watching all of this. I wonder if he's really happy that he hung it up this year or if he has any regrets. So we're going to speak with John Shimkus when we come back and ask him, long term here, what kind of damage is potentially being done to our election process, watching as deep doubt is sown in our process and our ability to count votes. There's a lot of questions that people have, and I think all of the questions that people have right now are worthwhile questions. We just need answers, and the longer it takes, the more doubt we're going to have. Let's talk to Congressman John Shimkus when we come back. Don't go away.
But do I really feel the way I feel?
Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
When it comes time to renovate your home on the outside, are you thinking about brand new siding? Are you tired of having to do the painting thing on the outside of your house all the time? How about beautiful, perfect, wonderful James Hardie siding? It is the name of the game. And when you go and you look at a home that has had James Hardie siding put on it, you know that they've got a quality product on there. It looks fantastic. And you think to yourself, gosh, I really would like to make our home look like that. Well, then you need the trusted name in James Hardie siding. That's Lakeside Renovation and Design. You need to check them out online at their website, lakesidrenovationanddesign.com. They are the go-to experts, have been doing this for decades on both sides of the river. They know what they're doing, and they are so good at using that James Hardie siding to transform your home exactly the way you want it to. And if you need a little help on the look, they can help you along the way. Go onto their website and see some of the stunning jobs that they have done. So impressive. Online at lakesidrenovationanddesign.com.
You have been hearing the phrase, others can't compete with Complete. So just exactly what does that mean? Well, at Complete Auto Body, they are the leaders in the industry and always strive to be the best. They offer touchless service, and they are proud to offer pickup and delivery to any of their services. Your safety is the utmost importance to them as they sanitize their shop several times a day. They are also offering $50 off any repair, big or small, for any new customers, even if the repair is $49. And then it's free for our first-time customers that require our auto body collision repair and or our mechanical service repairs. Lastly, while we repair your vehicle, don't worry. We have you covered with our loaner cars for only $9.99 per day while the car is in repair. To put it simply, they offer the complete experience. This is where they show you Complete's mission. They are a family and will serve you as if you were one of their own. With 5 convenient locations, others can't compete with Complete. CompleteAB.com.
Customers, students, and staff expect a new level of clean. Cintas has the essential products and services to help you carry out cleaning protocols effectively. Cintas performs surface sanitizer and disinfectant spray services to common touchpoints, installs and refills touchless hand sanitizer dispensers, and provides commercial laundry services to help minimize employee exposure. Give everyone the confidence they need to keep coming back. Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
This is time that matters, a window of time to help protect the ones you love. Your preteen benefits from staying up to date with their well visits. This is your window of protection. Schedule their well visit now. Brought to you by Merck.
Every 2 minutes, a woman in the U.S. is diagnosed with breast cancer. And in that moment in time, her life changes forever. We're fighting alongside patients because we know one moment can change a lifetime.
Hey guys, Glover here. If you are nearing retirement or already retired, call Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group at 314-993-9494. He'll show you how to participate in the market gains without ever losing a penny. Thomas is the official financial advisor of the DGS.
The commute is making a comeback, and dependable traffic is here to get you there. Driven by Ambassador Midwest Floor Company, the best way to deal with in-home traffic. Experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor.
Two of us riding nowhere, spending someone's hard-earned pay.
Interact with Annie on Facebook, The Annie Frey Show. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
President Trump is dragging down Republican senators with him.
For parties, sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug. And this year, it looks like Republicans are the bug.
This could be the year where Texas goes blue.
More likely, as we sit tonight,
that Joe Biden wins a landslide.
If we see in those final polls the type of lead that Joe Biden has now, the polls are not going to be wrong.
So the polls are not going to be wrong. That's what we were told. I mean, man, really off the hook in the midst of all of these lawsuits that are coming up and the vote counting that's still happening. The Nevada voter registrar is still taking questions right now about their process. He said that they're going to be accepting ballots that were postmarked by election day, that they could come in until November 12th. So this process is going to be long and drawn out. But it lost in all of this is what we have been told for so long, pretty much the entirety of Donald Trump's presidency, but specifically leading up to this election, how out of touch Republicans are. And boy, they got it really, really wrong. I want to speak to a Republican who is still serving, but is about to hang it up after many years of service in the United States Congress. Congressman John Shimkus joins us right now, the 15th Congressional District of Illinois. Congressman, it's a pleasure to have you on here. My first question to you is, did you pick the right session to not try to run for re-election, or are you regretting it? Do you feel like you want to get back in there?
No, I'm done. I'm, I think these decisions take a couple of years and 3 or 4 years to think through and look at, what you have left in the gas tank and where else you want to do. And one, I want to come home. I need to spend more time with my wife. And as you may or may not know, I'm going to teach a couple of classes at SIU Edwardsville. I'm very excited about that, and maybe help with some baseball programs. So I am ready. In fact, I'm in DC right now packing up stuff. So as soon as I can get out of here, the better.
I get that, and I'm very happy for you. And Mary Miller ran a really great campaign, and then she won that election there. And so we're excited to see what she does going forward. Congressman, I want to ask you specifically about the connection that you have had with your voters, with your constituents, the way you understand, Americans, the real people who are out there, and then what you see on television, because there sure seems to be an enormous disconnect, and Trump is usually at the center of it, as generally he is at the center of everything. But it seems to me that the talking heads, they don't get it. And they don't understand it. And I don't know that they're going to be capable of changing their ways, but they really did. The pollsters and the pundits and the media really did get this election wrong. There was no blue wave. There was no Biden landslide. What's your assessment from where you sit, having won many campaigns and talking to the constituents and keeping your polls closely to the actual people that are out there?
Yeah, well, Andy, I think you do a great job understanding and having your pulse on the people in the St. Louis media market. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sitting in that big chair like you are. The coastal elites don't understand flyover country. They just don't. And I mentioned this not just to you, but I say this all the time. I'm on this national board, and I keep trying to focus on this national board to say, you guys have to understand flyover country. Yeah, this might play well on the East Coast, but it just doesn't play well in Middle America. And so you have to have those voices. It was a tremendous evening, and we should have thought maybe the pollsters were wrong since they were wrong 4 years ago.
Right.
I think my analysis is this. Kevin McCarthy, who will be reelected minority leader, we've gained seats in the House. It is an exciting time to be a Republican, especially in the House, when you have a presidential election like this, and then you have successes. He was able to stay close to the president, encourage the president to continue to drive on, excite the base, and our pickups primarily because of the Trump turnout on election day. As you look across the country, it's amazing how Kevin was able to, the elites in DC would want Kevin to kind of distance himself, and I'm sure people encouraged him to do that. But he did a phenomenal job. I'm very proud of him, and and the president gets a lot of credit for the fact that the difference between the majority and the minority is going to could be a handful of seats. We picked up a seat in the suburbs of Chicago. The DCCC chairman, Bustos from the just announced victory today. And she was the chair of the DCCC. So the Democrat message out of Washington and the House does not play well in Middle America, and I think that's what we saw.
We're speaking with Congressman John Shimkus, who is retired and is going to, as he said, he's packing up his office and he's headed home to spend time with your wife, with a college classroom and some baseball. That sounds like a fantastic retirement. I think it's a dream for many people.
It's close to heaven, I think. It's about as close to heaven as you're going to get.
Yep. Well, you're going to be able to do a lot of good when you come back here. I'm curious, like over the arc of the time that you've spent from what was it, the mid 90s when you came into the House to now. I mean, you've seen so many different things. I'm wondering, in your experience of serving, where this craziness and the Trump craziness ranks in just like, you almost can't believe your eyes and your ears of how the country is acting, how government is acting. Where does the way you're going out rank across everything that you've experienced in your tenure?
Wow, it's it's up there. It's probably in the top 10%, maybe in top 5 of if you had to define crazy, political crazy, individual crazy, or crisis crazy. I mean, it's just been a wonderful 24 years to serve. I think that I've been on the ballot every 2 years since 1988. And I come out of Madison County, as you know, which historically has been a Democrat stronghold, and it is no longer. I think because of the same thing you're talking about, what even though they were Democrats, they're conservative Democrats. They go to church. They support amendment. They, for the most part, are fiscal conservatives. They really want less government in their lives, and that was the Democrat Party. And I was able to get elected as county treasurer. And it was Democrats who elected me. And then over the years, the votes and how we've grown the party is we're bringing people into the political process who are men and women of character, who work hard, and who believe in doing the right thing. So I think as I walk away, that's probably my proudest accomplishment. The Carmeier race in the Supreme Court, now David Overstreet, Amy Mayer, recently elected circuit judge. It's a great way for me to walk away when I see these new, young, I hate to say young, younger than me, leaders that are having success, on the ballot.
We're speaking with Congressman John Shimkus. I'm curious. We don't know yet, one way or the other, if there's going to be a second term for President Trump or if Joe Biden is going to get in there. Regardless, I don't think anybody can look at the Republican Party and not see the drastic effect that the Trump administration has had on the party. I'm curious what you think going ahead are the brightest spots for the GOP, because there's a stark contrast that exists right now between where this Democratic Party is right now and seems to be drastically headed, and where the GOP is right now. Do you feel like the Republican Party has a bright future?
I think it does. Just think how well the president would have done if he would have been a little nicer. And part of his shtick is being a bully and being in your face and never saying no and giving punches. But gosh, if he had just a little bit, this wouldn't even be a race. I mean, it would be over. The people who are in trouble are the Democrat Party. This progressive left, socialist bend is that's why we had success in the House in this cycle, and that's why this race was so close. I'm sure that the Democrats who live in Southern Illinois, they support law and order. They support the police. They support the military. They understand that there is a role of government, but it's a limited role of government. They're not for redistribution of wealth. They want to support people who are successful, and they want job creators. I think the biggest conflict is how the evaluation that the Democrat Party has to do among themselves to say. So I came in and I got elected in Clinton's second election cycle for Congress. I won, and he did well in Southern Illinois, but he was a new Democrat. What's a new Democrat? A new Democrat is just what I mentioned, right? They weren't crazy left socialists. They were governing Democrats. In fact, Clinton, to get reelected, had to move to the middle. He was talking about school uniforms and stuff like that. That's where the Democrat Party, they are in trouble.
Yeah. I'm you mentioned Southern Illinois Democrats, and specifically in this election here in 2020, Illinois had overall a pretty banner day. Voting down the progressive income tax after J.B. Pritzker invested about $60 million of his own dollars into that. I can't even imagine what it's like to lose $60 million on a vote. But you consider the direction that Southern Illinois Democrats and maybe, anybody outside of Cook County, these moderates who are looking at the direction of this Democratic Party and seeing what Democratic control over the state of Illinois has done for so long. It feels as though Illinois, at least in this election, maybe took a step in the right direction with a lot of progress yet to go. But do you think that with the governor's actions here in the state of Illinois and with 2022 ahead of us, where we elect new officials there, that Illinois will maybe look at their elected officials a little bit differently, as opposed to just, always been a Democrat and I always will be a Democrat? Is some of this up for grabs?
I think we got a long way to go before we're going to be successful at the top of the ticket in Illinois, but I will say the results of Tuesday has given the Republican Party in Illinois a glimmer of hope. We picked up a couple state rep seats. Amy Alec in your listening audience was a huge win and outspent almost like 10-1, which she outspent.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
It's
$3 million Mike Madigan spent on trying to defeat her. $3 million.
Yeah. And so, again, we picked up the Southern District Supreme Court seat. They threw out the Democrat in the Central District. So there are a lot of positive signs. And then you're going to have the census, which I'm sure you're going to watch closely, and then redistricting and the gerrymandering process. Democrats still will control that, but there's some talk that because of the numbers are going to come out so late that they may have to reach out to Republicans and maybe help draw a fairer map than they have the last 2 decades.
Yeah, there's a lot on the table, a lot for people to continue to pay attention to. Congressman Shimkus, we thank you for your service. We thank you for your time here. And I can only imagine what it's like to be packing up all of that stuff after those many years, but heading home to a retirement that you get to design yourself and you'll be great at. So we appreciate your time here and your service as well.
You are welcome, and we'll see you around. Take care. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
For sure. Congressman John Shimkus of Illinois District 15, who did not run for re-election this year, and Mary Miller ran and won that district, and she's the Republican candidate, and she won. So interesting stuff there. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get the latest on, I feel like there's information flooding in all the time, but nothing really is changing. No drastic, jaw-dropping updates to provide you, but we're all on the edge of our seats. So I don't know, get real comfy up there on the edge of your seat, I suppose. But we'll have anything as it breaks, and also we'll take you to any press conferences that occur throughout the day. Any speeches from the Biden camp or the Trump camp, we'll be able to have those for you as well. You're plugged in right here on the Annie Frey Show, and we're happy to have you along. Back in a minute.
We're going home.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie. This is the Annie Frey Show.
The road that stretches out ahead.
Rudy Beck and Jay Lennox at Beck and Lennox Estate Planning and Elder Law are experts when it comes to all sorts of things, obviously estate planning and elder law issues. Also, they are really, really dedicated. They really, really enjoy helping you get connected with your VA aid and attendance pension and Medicaid to pay for assisted living and nursing home care. These are important things in the later on in life that you can get taken care of now. Have it planned now. Have the conversation right now so that you can get everything in line, in order, and then it's taken care of. And then you have a plan, and it's a plan you can trust. Beck and Lennox Estate Planning and Elder Law have been doing this for people just like you, providing solutions to your estate planning and elder law needs since 1974. And they're here for you right now. You can get a free consultation with them by calling them and mentioning the Annie Frey Show at 636-946-7899. That's 636-946-7899. Reach out to Beck and Lennox, and you'll be glad you did. Online at beckelderlaw.com.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Zero Res Carpet Cleaning. You know what I'm going to say, and it's true. We have the holidays coming up. It's going to be weird this year, but whoever you're having over, whether it's your immediate family or having other people over, or you're doing it over Zoom or whatever the hell is going to happen during COVID Thanksgivings and Christmas, you want to make it as nice as possible for everyone in your family. One thing that you can do that's really inexpensive and has a big bang for the buck is get all of your carpets Zero Res clean. And it is special. We can pre-treat, clean, and most importantly, sanitize 3 big rooms of carpeting for just $129. You get rid of all the dead skin cells, all the pet dander, all the crumbs, all the germs, all the viruses. Everything's gone for just $129. That's the DGS special. Call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com, 474-2020, ZeroResSTL.com.
If you are looking for a home warranty, please check out my friends at Upkeep Home Warranty and Maintenance. You know, that maintenance part of their title is extremely important. Most home warranty companies out there want to deny your claim due to lack of maintenance. They claim you haven't been taking care of your equipment over time, so they don't have to help you out. Well, at Upkeep, they completely eliminate that worry by sending their own technicians out to your home 4 times a year to do the general maintenance for you. And if you ever need service done, they will either repair or replace your equipment, and that work is also being done by an Upkeep employee. It's not a third-party contractor trying to upsell you. Their plans are extremely affordable. You can even divide your payments up over the 12 months of the year. And when you use code DGS, you get $100 off your service. To check out all of their different home warranty plans, go to their website, upkeepstl.com. That's upkeepstl.com.
With mortgage rates at historic lows and homes selling with multiple offers, why would you ever pay more than 4? I'm Christina Straight. Why pay more than 4? 314-441-4444. 441 all fours.
Straight Realty has sold over $250 million in the St. Louis area. No matter who you are, if saving money and commissions is important to you, then call me. Why pay more than 4? 314-441-4444. 314-441 all fours.
Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. In addition to heating and cooling, Air Comfort Service also offers indoor air quality, water heater, and AeroSeal duct sealing services. Get in your comfort zone with aircomfortservice.com.
You can ask your smart speaker to play 97.1 FM Talk for information with perspective. Although you don't have to say all the tagline stuff. Just say, play 97.1 FM Talk. Powered by Dell Technologies. Call 877-ASK-DELL.
And he knows it's gone. Don't wait for another.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie. This is the Annie Frey Show.
He thinks, can't wait for another. Tearing his soul. He screams inside, he says, I'm only, while I've gone away, only.
And at this point, with the margins the way they are, whoever wins, Joe Biden or Donald Trump, the other side is going to feel like there's shenanigans.
There are shenanigans, one way or the other. There's no way that the loser here is going to feel like, good game, guys. Let's meet in the middle and clap hands. Yeah. Boy, that one was really close. You guys did great. It's not going to happen. Mm-mm. It's not. And it's going to fuel, man, whoever loses, let me put it to you this way. Whoever wins this presidential election, brace yourself for the most massive blue wave or red wave in 2022 that you've seen in quite some time, because we are about even right now on the balance of power. In the Senate is going to be, super split right down the middle. When you look at the House, the Republicans have won 8 seats. They flipped 8 seats. The Democrats have flipped 2. And there are still races out there that could go Republicans' favor. There's a net 6-seat gain for Republicans here. It's very interesting that you could pull off 6 seats for the Republicans across the country. Of course, it depends on where those seats are or whatever. And see we listened to earlier Ronna McDaniel listing through all of the things that they had that were so good in this campaign, and know that Donald Trump got more votes for president this time than anybody has ever gotten in a previous election, and Joe Biden got more. So Joe Biden said, I think it was yesterday, he was like, we've gotten the most votes of any presidential campaign ever. And, oh, yeah, by the way, so did Donald Trump, but you were currently winning this. So I think that's more of a testament to turnout than it is specifically how awesome you are. But, it's politics. So obviously say what you need to say, dude. When we're going to continue to watch how this ends up shoring up, regardless of who wins and who loses this time, the midterm elections for the losing party are going to be on fire. They are going to win across the board. That's my prediction.
We kept Senate seats. We picked up seats in the House, which no one expected. We won a governor's race. We flipped a state legislative chamber and kept all the chambers they thought they were going to flip. I mean, Republicans turned out, and they did for President Trump too. And that's how we're going to pursue these legal challenges, not just because we support President Trump, but we support the voters that stood hours in line that feel like they're being disenfranchised by votes being found in the middle of the night. We just had it happen in Georgia. Some of our poll watchers are seeing some suspicious activity, and we need to understand that. These clerks and these poll watchers should not be able to shut the door and shut down transparency, and that creates unrest. And those are the types of things that are wrong. We should all be able to watch the process so we can go back and say this was a fair election. And that's why we're suing in these states.
So you look at how much success the Republicans have. The Republican message right now is working. The idea of the Republican option is a positive one. And that might have as much to do with the fact that the Democratic message isn't working overall, especially when you think of down ballot races and you think about, the move towards socialism and what some of these far left Democrats stand for. I mean, I don't know. Carl, I'll ask you this question.
Yeah.
If you look at the spectrum of where the Democrat Party is right now, I would say it's a gigantic, much broader spectrum of where you can be as an elected Democrat right now versus Republicans. Like when I think of the far right, as far as elected Republicans go, the far right isn't really that. I say this as somebody who's a conservative, so obviously I'm subjective, but the far right of elected officials doesn't look as fringe as the far left does for the Democrats, in my opinion.
Well,
Do you agree with that?
There was one QAnon supporter that got in, and
One or two, yeah.
one or two that got in, but on the left you have it splinters more when you go left, because then you have AOC in the squad, and then but there aren't any moderates anymore. Remember, there used to be moderates. I don't see them on either side anymore, but I will say the left is farther splintered. And so they couldn't come together and they couldn't get the far left of the party meeting with the farther left of the party, or else they could have had a better organization.
And I think too that the QAnon thing is a good point, because that does kind of set what I think people would consider to be the fringe right.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's a governing philosophy. It's just maybe something that you're attached to. I think that, the idea of trying to economically transform the United States of America through a socialist, a progressive movement is a little more threatening. If you're Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or a squad member, what you're trying to do in government is pretty drastic to the left. What somebody who goes in and is a QAnon person, like, I don't know that they can do anything with that. It's just kind of like an attribute that they have that makes you go, I don't know about that, you know?
Right.
Gun rights is probably something I could think of that maybe people on the far left would think is fringe right. But I mean, to me, it's like you either want your Second Amendment or you're interested in limiting the Second Amendment. But if you're pro Second Amendment, the majority of people in the Republican Party are going to be, you know, fully pro Second Amendment. And if there's a caveat that needs to be discussed over the course of time, some people will be more interested in engaging in that conversations than others. But, you know, and I guess abortion is definitely one of them. But when you look at the ability to implement whatever the fringe of your party is, there's just there's a stronger movement on the left, on the fringe. There's more emphasis, I believe, more weight put on what we would consider as somewhere on the right side of the spectrum. You look over there and you're like, what? That? No, heck no, I'm not for that. I mean, Katie, you've got a lot of friends who are very aggressively liberal or very progressive. I mean, do they dabble in policy, or is it more of an attitude for them?
What's funny about the definitions of fringe right now is that they're so different for people that are my friends that are super, super liberal, because what they consider to be the alt-right is Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is a moderate conservative. He has not even swung over super, super, super right. And so, and they consider someone on the fringe an alt-right person like Matt Gaetz. So to us, I look at them because they're people that are proponents of socialism. They love it. They want it to happen as a governance in America. They look at AOC, they look at the squad, and they're like, oh no, that's our terminology for a moderate Democrat now. And you guys have plenty of people over on the right side that are super, super far right. Look at the president, look at Donald Trump. So the definition of fringe.
What is far right about Donald Trump?
That's what like baffles me, because even people that are super conservative look at Donald Trump and they're like, he's a moderate. I mean, yes, he's bombastic. Yes, he's bombastic. Yes, he is fighting hard and advocating hard for conservative policies, and he's loud about it. But he is still a pretty moderate conservative compared to a lot of other people that are representatives in the House or in the Senate. And so it's just a crazy different spectrum of terminology when it comes to people being on the fringe. And that's kind of what I've learned whenever you compare these two things, Annie, as you just said, like we don't really have people that are just absolutely wild conservatives that are super, super loud voices that are prominent right now. I don't think.
Not that we take seriously. I mean, Matt says on Facebook, and I think he's right, when you're on the far left, anyone to the right of them are considered far right. I mean, they really just do basically think that Republican conservative principles are nuts. And so they think that's, you know, a drastic take to have. It's, man, we're just so split. We're so divided. And, you know, as I was saying earlier, I put this on Twitter, and I'm looking ahead and seeing if Joe Biden is going to become the president. If that ends up happening, he's going to have no mandate whatsoever. He's going to, you know, have eked through the process. And, you know, if he's got the votes, he's got the votes, folks. You know, we'll see what he ends up having, you know, as far as how many states. But if he just barely squeaks by in all of these different, you know, electoral college races, he's not going to have some sort of blue wave that he's going to be able to ride into the Oval Office to be emboldened to do anything he wants to do. He's going to have a Republican Senate. He's going to have a razor thin margin in the House. It's almost like the American people said to this ruling class, you know, you're going to go to timeout and you're going to sit and think about what you've done, because for 2 years, there's going to be nothing. We'll have executive orders from Joe Biden, and he's going to undo all of the executive orders that Trump undid of all of Barack Obama's executive orders, and he'll have to answer for those. And then maybe Republicans will be forced to look at the party difference, and moderate Democrats as well going into a midterm election. They'll be forced to look at policies and issues and not just Trump. If that's what happens, if Donald Trump ends up being able to win this election, he is going to go all in, I think, on this corruption. I think it's going to be a drastic, just couple of years of Lindsey Graham and the judiciary. I think, again, I said this yesterday, I think the Durham investigation is supposed to hit like November 18th.
Yes.
What if we're still in the middle of our election? What then? And if we're going to spend all this time in court, is the Durham report going to get looked over? Well, you better get it done while you're still in office, don't you think? It's crazy. Well, when we come back, we're going to hear from Tyrus. Can't wait to hear what he has to say about it. We're also going to speak with Congressman Andy Biggs, who is a representative in Arizona. Don't go away. You know, the weather is going to progressively get cooler here. You need to make sure your furnace is working in tip-top shape, don't you? You don't want to have it one of those cold, frigid days where the furnace doesn't work and you got to make an emergency call and have someone come out and look at it. And then you're scrambling to figure out who it is. Well, I'm going to give you a hint or a tip here right now. Get your phone out and put this number in your phone in the event that you ever have an emergency situation so that you have the very best of the best coming out to your house. It's Air Comfort Service, 314-513-0091. That's 314-513-0091. Now, if you want to have maintenance done or just have the furnace tune-up, this is going to help keep it in good working order. It can keep your warranty intact. You can have them come out right now and make the plan to get that done. 314-513-0091. If you do need to replace the whole thing, they've always got amazing opportunities with 0% financing and also a lot of rebate opportunities as well. 314-513-0091, online at aircomfortservice.com.
Attention St. Louis homeowners. Are you looking to sell your house without all the stress? Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis can buy your house cash and close on your timeline. No commissions, no repairs, no appraisals, no showings, no headache. Call Chris now, 314-782-7000, or go online to chrisbuysHomesSTL.com to get a free no-obligation cash offer for your house. Behind on payments? The tenant stopped paying the rent? The house needs too many repairs? Not a problem. Chris buys houses in any condition and deals with any situation. There's a reason why Chris Buys Homes is the most trusted home buyer in St. Louis. Go online to get your offer today. chrisbuysHomesSTL.com or call 314-782-7000. That's 314-782-7000.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at ThrottleNet.com. So it's crazy time at ThrottleNet. They are IT geniuses, but they are a little bit nutty. Right now, they will pay you $250 for a conversation about your IT support because they value your time during the crazy pandemic. They'll give you the first 30 days for free, no charge for all of their services. And then they'll pay you another $1,000 if you decide to leave in the first 30 days for your trouble. They don't anticipate that you're going to leave, but if you do, they'll shake your hand, they'll put you back where you were, and they'll write you a check for $1,000. It is completely no risk, and they reward you for your time and for your effort. They are the best IT shop in the city, named number 1 5 years straight. They are good guys. Like I said, they are geniuses at protecting you, but they can communicate. They don't stare at their shoes. They look you in the eye, and they tell you what you need to know. ThrottleNet.com/971.
KFTK FM Florissant, K254CR St. Louis, driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk, a radio.com station.
The final count could be a week away. Lisa Brady, Fox News. That's the deadline, November 12th, for the vote count to finish in Nevada, where Clark County Registrar Joe Gloria says he's just following the rules set by the legislature, which allowed an extra week for mailed ballots to be received. He also says their goal is to be accurate, not fast. Nevada is one of 4 battleground states that remain too close to call. It's also one of several states where the Trump campaign is suing.
We are filing this federal lawsuit to protect legal voters. It is unacceptable in this country to have illegal votes counted.
Trump campaign surrogate Rick Grinnell at a news conference in Las Vegas this morning claiming irregularities, including ballots mailed to dead voters. A judge in Michigan has just dismissed a Trump campaign lawsuit over access to the ballot counting process. A similar fight over greater transparency continues in Pennsylvania, while a judge in Georgia turned one away.
The presidential contest in Georgia is now less than a half a percentage point in President Trump's favor, but 20% of the statewide ballots are still outstanding.
There's only so many people who are involved in these processes in the 159 counties in the state.
Gabriel Sterling with the Georgia Secretary of State's office. Meanwhile, a Georgia judge throws out President Trump's lawsuit requesting assurance in one coastal county that they were following applicable law regarding absentee ballots. The judge provided no further explanation.
Fox's Eben Brown. Both campaigns holding confident-sounding conference calls today. Biden campaign manager Jen O'Malley Dillon.
What we're seeing on these legal suits are that they are meritless and nothing more than an attempt to distract and delay what is now inevitable.
The Democratic nominee needs one more state to hit the magic number in the projected electoral count. America is listening to Fox News.
I hate Tom's Tulip Shop. It just smells so flowery. Like we're good at your flower shop. You don't need to remind us.
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
I needed a fake plant. They don't sell fake plants. Thanks for nothing, Tom.
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial auto and business insurance.
Then he says, have a great day. I'll decide what kind of day to have.
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
Walgreens has always been there to help make your health care easier. From making sure you have the prescriptions you need to answering any questions you have about them. Now, we're here to help make Medicare easier too. Walgreens is a preferred network pharmacy with many plans, including United Healthcare, which can mean copays as low as $0 for you. Talk to a Walgreens pharmacist today. Walgreens, we make Medicare easy. $0 copay on Tier 1 generic drugs when enrolled in a plan with Walgreens as a preferred pharmacy. Walgreens accepts other plans.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Partly to mostly sunny skies with us on this Thursday afternoon, 72, 73 for the high. Tonight, clear skies and chilly, 49. Friday, keep it coming, sunny and 75. And how about keeping it coming for the weekend? Top 10 weekend on the way, Saturday and Sunday, partly to mostly sunny skies, 70 to 75 each day. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
There's a big red barn where you say free. Norm's Bargain Barn. On discount windows, doors, and things. Norm's Bargain Barn.
Hi, I'm Norm Wilkie. Come see my new selection of Amish cabinetry made by my good Amish friends at Countrywood Products. We now stock 5 styles of cabinetry for you to choose from.
When you need to save on discount windows, doors, and cabinetry, come to Norm's Bargain Barn. With locations in Shiloh and Fenton at the bottom of Gravois Bluffs. Visit normsbargainbarn.com.
That's normsbargainbarn.com.
Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm here in St. Louis. I've been warning our clients that IRS employees are back at work since mid-July, and their collection efforts have ramped up. Well, sure enough, it looks like it's happening. So if you have unfiled tax returns, wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, now's the time to call the Lance Drury Law Firm before the IRS calls you. Tax resolution plans are based off your current income. So if your current income is less than normal due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this is precisely the time for the Lance Drury Law Firm to help you. Your consultation is free, so don't put it off. The Lance Drury Law Firm focuses solely on tax resolution law. It's all we do. And if you have IRS problems, you have legal problems. Let us use our tax law resolution experience to guide you and work on your custom resolution plan. Call now. It's free and confidential. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120 or go to Lance, DRURY law.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
The Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health understands how difficult it is to maintain healthy skin and how much this can affect someone's life. With the right combination of treatments and products, they can help you keep your skin looking healthy and more youthful, while also reducing and preventing damage. Take your first step towards healthy skin at the Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health. Visit them at inhstl.com or call to schedule at 314-293-8123. That's 314-293-8123.
Chrysler Pacifica family pricing at Cassens right now is about, I think, this is what I remember them telling me a year ago when I bought my Pacifica. It's about as good of a price as you can get on these vehicles. And the Pacifica itself is such an amazing vehicle. It is a minivan. It's what I drive, but it's so diverse and it's so helpful for all sorts of different things. If you have to haul a lot of stuff around, you can put all of the seats in the back down, and you've got so much space. The stow and go seating in there is fantastic. And also, if you like to be a little bit higher up off the ground when you're driving, but you can't you don't feel as comfortable climbing up into some of the big SUVs, the Chrysler Pacifica is a perfect solution for this. If you're carting around kids, if you're carting around grandkids, or just, a lot of stuff, go with that Chrysler family pricing on the Pacifica, and you're going to save yourself a lot of money. You can find more online if you check them out on their website at cassinscan.com.
97.1 FM Talk is on the radio and online on your smart speaker, on your phone, and streaming anytime at 971talk.com. Find it all at radio.com. 97.1 FM Talk. The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, Sid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
So I think we've seen this now in 4 consecutive cycles, and you'd think there'd be enough people in the polling industry, aside from some outliers who they all make fun of, like Trafalgar. Those are weirdos, those yahoos. Ignore that. Don't put them in your averages. And then the yahoos are looking a lot closer to reality than the A-plus pollsters. That's a problem. And the one example I'll give, because there are many from this cycle, Susan Collins and her dominant win. She won by points. She won a majority in her state. No one was expecting it, perhaps because she did not lead in a single public poll on Real Clear Politics all year.
Guy Benson reacting to how wrong pollsters were. There's still obviously things we don't know with who's going to be the president as we continue to count votes across the country. But here's this tweet summed this poll thing up for me very well. It's from Josh Holmes, who's a former staff member of Mitch McConnell's. He said, the problem with polls is they are meant for political professionals, not the media. So it's misused terribly. It's like a sportscaster being dropped off a scouting book and assuming they can coach the team. Tyrus, I want to talk to you about this. Let's get to Tyrus.
You're becoming like my most stable relationship.
Enough said.
Post Enough Said on Fox Nation. You can become a subscriber at foxnation.com. Also a Fox News contributor, Tyrus. I mean, regardless of how this election ends up with the presidency, it's obvious to me that the pollsters just didn't know what they were talking about. And we have spent a ton of time in the media obsessing over what the polls did say and what they were going to mean. And they were wrong. And now we sit here and in my opinion, the American people feel like they've been lied to for quite some time. It adds to the emotionally charged situation that was going to happen no matter what. And I think we're all worse for it. Wondering what you think about in the wake of the polling and the results or the lack of results. Tyrus, so far, where are you at?
When it comes to polling, I don't care. I mean, that's like ranking. I always say the same thing. Since you made a sports depiction in the beginning, you still got to play the game. Perfect example: Tampa Bay Bucks are supposed to be the greatest team on the field, and the New York Giants almost beat them. Why? They were picked by every polled sports caster said Bucks, and that's everyone's opinion. Opinions are not facts. Opinions don't mean anything. And when pollsters can look for the answers they want, they can check certain areas. I remember one of the polls I looked at CNN. It was after that first debate. They said, well, most of the people polled lean Democratic. So chances are they're going to pull for Biden. So it's like, it's just, if anyone puts faith in the polls, then you might as well put faith in your bookie. You might as well, put faith in your psychic connection. So if those are your belief systems, then polling's really important to you. To me, it's just something for people to get you to talk about, because the only way we know is until we vote, and there's no other way to figure it out. So everyone can have educated guesses, and that's literally what it is. Hey, we're guessing, so listen to us. I can do the same thing. I don't need a poll. Ask me who's going to win. I'll tell you right now. Ask me who's going to win.
I would like to know who's going to win. Who is going to win?
Old white guy.
Old
white guy's got it.
So I would say right now it looks like it looks like it's going to default to a Joe Biden win. That's certainly possible that President Trump could still pull this out through a legal challenge to some of these different states that are going on. But let's just live in the hypothetical right now that Joe Biden wins. I can't imagine that anybody would think that he has some sort of mandate if he were to win the presidency. A razor-thin Republican majority in the Senate, a razor-thin Democrat majority in the House. What happens in politics for the next 2 years with this much division and no Donald Trump?
Well, I hate disagreeing with you because I rarely do. But what do you mean no Donald Trump? He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. President Trump will be. You think the backseat driver is terrible? What are you going to do with a backseat president who literally every time you have a press conference will go on air and be like, "Is that what we're doing, folks?" I think you have to. The one thing we've learned is there is really no such thing, with the exception of maybe Oklahoma, of a blue or red state. We are all purple states, and we're seeing that we're going to have to figure out a way to get along, because all of the states, we look at it, are close. Now, me personally, when I saw Florida, the way Florida was going and how President Trump did in Miami, I said, well, that's a wrap. There's no, and based off Florida and how smooth Florida went, I went on about the rest of my evening. I had always thought, and based off the other two elections that I've watched really closely, Florida had always kind of been the gauge, but we're seeing that the country's not only divided, which they like to bring out, but the country's involved. And it's about a 50-50 split. So this election is going to come down to final votes. And, there's Arizona still up for grabs, and my home network, Fox News, had projected it for Biden. So on Fox, he needs 6. On the other networks, I think he needs 16 or something like that. So, but it's not over till it's over. Votes have to be counted, and it's going to come down to the wire. So, and I think it's great for our democracy, and that people seeing that their vote counts, no matter which way it goes. And I think it's great that we have what we have in the Senate and the House, because all the extreme stuff is going to have to wait. The super progressives are not going to get their way if Joe Biden wins, because he's going to have to work with Mitch McConnell, and they have a history of being able to work together. And I think that's the only advantage that Joe Biden would have in terms of, but he's going to have to come way middle. He's not going to be able to do the extreme stuff because Mitch McConnell ain't having it. And at the same token, if President Trump pulls this out, I don't know if it's pulling it out, if he wins what he's got right now, if he wins Georgia, he wins Pennsylvania, which he's ahead in both still, and Vegas, Nevada's too close to call, and so it looks like Arizona is too. I mean, he literally could be but it's going to be razor thin. We're going to have, and I even saw one, you did the math where we got 269. 269 and 269. So we don't know how it's going to play out. We need just to relax. But either way, I think we're in good shape in terms of everyone's going to be represented, whether it's President Trump or if it's President Biden, because we're going to have a Republican Senate with not a huge lead, and the blue wave, so to speak. America said, no, we're not doing extremes anymore. That doesn't work.
Yeah,
and
it feels like we've kind of been putting our officials in timeout for a minute. Like we're going to have a pause. Yeah. I want to ask you about the calling of these races. I mean, you said you didn't watch the entirety of the evening, But, you know, I don't know what the right way is to do it, but I feel like the way we have been, you know, all the networks, it's a race to make a call. And, you know, if the call ends up being the right call in the end, does that mean it was an okay call to, you know, put Arizona in the Biden column? If it's going to go Biden and Fox called it first, did they get it right? Or should we rethink the way that we report on returns on election night, especially considering when the East Coast polls close, the West Coast is, you know, late afternoon. I feel like it could have an impact on voting across the country.
And let's remember, it's a projection, which is an educated guess. So, you know, they want to project, and certain states, Oklahoma, I think you can project. New York, California, some of those that are really blue strongholds in terms of their population votes a certain way, although it's not really indicative of California. It's just that there are just so many more Democrats in California that they overshadow Republicans. That's why there's so much talk about California splitting up so that Republicans can have a voice in such a big state. But that aside, we just need to chill so much as we need to remember what an opinion is in this country and what a fact is. We saw what happened for those of us who followed it, you know, Al Gore and George Bush, we saw what happened where a projection was made and then it wasn't made and then it would turn into, and the Supreme Court had to figure it out. So you would think that with that, the media would have a certain responsibility not to call something unless they were absolutely sure. But I mean, literally, the California one, I think it came up and it was like 3 seconds. Polls closed. California is projected, you know, and I feel like maybe you wait a little bit, let some votes come in, because it's just wanting to be first and pushing your opinions as facts is a disservice to people, because we're no longer getting that filter. You remember when you were a kid, when you watched the news, some boring person would come on and just tell you what happened. Yeah. And then there'd be this weird guy would come on or gal would come on.
Favorite
and
naps from my childhood.
Always falling asleep. And while they were talking, it would be like, this is an editorial and doesn't reflect the views of this network. We need to get that back. We need to take out breaking news with breaking opinion.
Breaking opinion. A lot of those.
Feels like to me, because we're really getting confused or being confused. That might be by design on what's true and what's not true.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's, you know, as we're sitting here and listening to the voter registrar and Joe Gloria, he's the Clark County, Nevada voter registrar, and he's talking about how they could be counting ballots till November 12th. It's almost like I don't want to know anything until November 12th. Then, you know, it's like it's all hanging in the balance. Yeah. Of course, if we just found out at the end, I don't know if that takes away transparency, but I just feel like the way we're doing it right now is all it does is stoke emotion in a way that I fear could end up getting out of hand at some point in time if it continues down this road.
No, you're 100%. And the other thing is the press conferences need to be a lot shorter. They just need to have a guy open the door and go, we ain't got it yet, and close it. Press conference over. Where are we at? We're not there yet. Come back in an hour. You know, like instead of it's like, well, you have to understand. We get it. It was a pandemic. There's a lot of mail-in ballots that need to be counted. So and here's the other thing. I'd just like to say to all the other news networks out there, Fox News included, there's other stuff going on.
There is. Yes.
Maybe you take a time out from this just in from Arizona. 3 votes have been put in. Maybe we just kind of let us know what else is going on. Because last time I checked, COVID didn't take the week off.
COVID. Yes.
You know, and I'm sure there was some other stuff going on in government today. And there was a lockdown in England, wasn't there? I mean, I don't know if there was a football game. I mean, literally
anything.
They don't leave for anything else. And no offense, and I pick on them a lot, and it's just because I'm really entertained by watching them. But the play-by-play by Como on CNN is quite possibly the most brutal thing I can't stop watching.
Can't look
never
away.
stops asking questions. Like, so where are we at? Here are we going? How are we doing? What's this doing? Well, let me ask you this. What's the total? Well, and then the other guy's like, I just told you that. So you're saying that just, no, I'm projecting. It's not a fact. Huh. All right, cool. Let's go back to here. Question. You know,
They love it. They eat it up.
And then you're just sitting there with your mouth open going, it's 45 minutes has gone by. What just happened?
Yeah.
So, I won't watch it. I move on.
Mhm.
I limit myself to an hour and then I take a break.
Real quick before I let you go, we have a dispute on this show just regularly about when it's okay to put up Christmas decorations in your own home. I'm curious when Tyrus puts up.
Oh, this is great. Okay.
When is it allowed?
I think after Thanksgiving's appropriate.
Appropriate. Well, you're
But
right.
I don't. I said appropriate. If you got that, here's my thing.
If it makes you happy.
Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday.
Yeah.
So I feel like you need to be able to, and we got back-to-back holidays. October, you got Halloween, you got jack-o'-lanterns, you got all that, you got candy corn, you got some important stuff going on. Then you take a break and you get to, I love candy corn, and I will, that's non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. You understand? It's part of my deal to be on this show that I'm sending a box of candy corn with pumpkins included. The candy corn pumpkin is gold.
Ugh.
I don't want to talk. You know what? You're ruining my point. Let it go. Then you go into Thanksgiving, you need time to decorate. You put decorations up so you can be canceled on social media for pilgrims and, being really disrespectful to turkeys. Then you got to eat that. Then you take a day off, and then you start. Then that weekend of that Thanksgiving break, you start putting up the decorations.
Yeah.
The only thing I feel strongly about is come New Year's Day, January 1st, you wrap it up. You
come
get
down.
the tree out. You get the lights down. You don't get to have lights up in July. That's not right. I feel like there's windows. That's just me. But some people, it's Christmas year-round. I get it.
I like to start the Christmas decorating in November, and I love Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving still absolutely gets the respect it deserves. I just think that if it makes you happy and it's not hurting anyone else, put up your tree if you like to. I don't know.
Well, absolutely. And you know what? And for those of us who are lazy and leave our trees up to, I don't know, March, I guess that's cool too.
I just really need that extra Christmas cheer. Tyrus, always good to talk to you. Hopefully next Thursday we know a little bit more, but I don't know that that's going to be the case.
If not, I guarantee the Thursday after that, we'll know just as much as we did before.
Wonderful. This is a guarantee here on the Annie Frey Show.
I guarantee it.
Appreciate you, Tyrus. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Be careful out there.
All right. We won't eat any candy corn. Tyrus, host of Fox, Nuff Said on Fox Nation. You guys like candy corn?
With
Carl,
peanuts.
Say it's like payday.
But it is like peanut. The ratio's 3 peanuts to 1 candy corn.
3 peanuts to a candy corn?
It makes it taste like a payday.
Nasty.
Just eat a payday.
Exactly.
Also, Annie, I would
That's a lot of work.
I would change one thing on Tyrus's thing. You can keep your tree and stuff up till
Through
the 6th.
to Epiphany.
Through the 6th, yes.
Yeah. I was gonna mention that, and I was like, I'll do that after he gets off the phone. I'm not gonna bring up Epiphany with Tyrus.
Through the 6th.
All right, let's take a quick break. We can talk a little bit about the Christmas decorations when we come back. We'll also keep our eye on any updates as they may or may not happen. Any press conferences, we will have them for you right here as well. Congressman Andy Biggs. He is a congressman in Arizona, and he has been talking about how this vote count stuff, it's flipped and flopped on him in Arizona before. And he says folks need to wait. We'll talk with Andy Biggs at 1:40, and we'll discuss something maybe a little lighter when we come back. Stick around.
Then that time I went and said goodbye. Now I'm back and not ashamed to cry. Ooh, baby, here I am. I'm still delivered. I'm yours.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
Time to take up, the question that you've been asking yourself, or the thing that's been nagging you for a while. And talk about losing the weight. And I've done this before, and I did it with Slim 180, and I was very glad that I did. Over 40 pounds with their medically supervised HCG rapid weight loss program. You can do this too, and you can call them right now to get a free consultation and take your health into your own hands and lose the weight once and for all. You can call them at 888-754-6111. That's 888-754-6111. When you reach out to Slim 180, mention the Annie Frey Show when you do. You can set up an appointment at one of their 6 locations. You can also talk about meeting remotely. They have all of their Slim 180 centers following strict guidelines to keep you safe right now. They are very conscious and concerned about your health and getting you on the path to a healthier you. Choose from their traditional program, their medically supervised HCG rapid weight loss program, and their quick start lipo-lean program online at myslim180.com.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly with thehomeloanexpert.com. Thanksgiving will be here before you know it, followed by Black Friday, Cyber Monday, holiday parties, gift giving, traveling, time off work, Christmas. It's the time of year when credit cards get used the most. Well, mortgage interest rates are still in the 2s, and there's never been a better time to get locked in on a refinance. Now that's how you win the holidays and start the new year off right. TheHomeLoanExpert.com. The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
Need a break from the sound bites and the talking heads? Do you want information you can actually use? Information that'll change your life for the better? Then listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Del will show you how to retire in 2 to 5 years. Your age doesn't matter. Turn off the pundits and turn on the passive income. Tune in to the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
Tune in to the Del Walmsley Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. Weeknights at 7 on 97.1 FM Talk.
Every day, Ameren works to deliver reliable energy throughout the region to on-the-go families, new parents, in-the-know grandparents, busy students, night owls, weekend warriors, and more. But did you know we also have options to help manage and track your energy, like paperless billing, outage notifications, pick a due date, and so much more. So no matter who you are or how you use your energy, there's an option that's right for you. Learn more at ameren.com/options.
Attention St. Louis homeowners. Are you looking to sell your house without all the stress? Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis can buy your house cash and close on your timeline. No commissions, no repairs, no appraisals, no showings, no headache. Call Chris now, 314-782-7000, or go online to chrisbuysHomesSTL.com to get a free no-obligation cash offer for your house. Behind on payments? The tenant stopped paying the rent? The house needs too many repairs? Not a problem. Chris buys houses in any condition and deals with any situation. There's a reason why Chris Buys Homes is the most trusted home buyer in St. Louis. Go online to get your offer today. chrisbuysHomesSTL.com or call 314-782-7000. That's 314-782-7000.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group at 314-993-9494. He'll show you how to participate in the market gains without ever losing a penny. Thomas is the official financial advisor of the Mark Cox Morning Show.
Someday, 2020 will be history. Until then, keep it here for the latest in what's happening. 97.1 FM Talk. Information with perspective. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show. This is the Annie Frey Show.
The fair tax. It went down to defeat. I understand the other side told the lies that they told. A lot of people believe to that, and that's too bad. And now we're going to have to suffer the pain that they've brought on.
Let's talk about what kind of pain we're going to have to suffer, J.B. Pritzker. Are you kidding me with this? Man, these people. So he's saying the other side lied, and now we have to suffer pain. No, we have to suffer pain because the Democrats, who are the supermajority in Springfield, have been spending like drunken sailors for years, and now you need more of our money to cover your butts. And there's a lot to cover. It is a massive, massive deficit problem that we have, a pension debt that is so gigantic that the progressive tax wasn't even going to adequately cover it, even if it would have been implemented the way that they had first put out those brackets. Unbelievable. But he lost, so it makes me happy to play that. A little happier than I could have been for sure if he would have in fact won on that, and then I would probably be ranting and raving on it. We were talking about a few holiday things before, and we are watching the election coverage, and we're watching to see if anything happens. And you know what they do is they go and say there's some, they reset on what votes have been added, and then they go to the board, and then they poke the board a few times, and then they go back and talk about some votes that have happened, and then it's just a cycle of, Katie, you said last night you fell asleep at 9:30.
I fell asleep at 9:30. That is the earliest I have gone to bed since I worked the morning show. I mean, I am beat, and I'm hoping that Annie, you're tired. Carl, I'm sure you're tired too, but I just feel like I'm hoping everybody else is as exhausted as I am. I'm done.
It's stressful. It's not just physically, if you stayed up really late like we did on election night, it's not just tiring physically like that. This is mentally exhausting. Yes. And, I went to bed, I think I was probably asleep by about 10:30 last night. And I had to actively put my phone away so that I couldn't check, because you feel like something could happen at any time. And all I'm doing is going on Twitter to check and see what the Trump campaign is saying and what the Trump lawyers are saying. And if there's something that's fresh that says, this just happened and this looks like we're going to win Arizona, then I'm like, okay. And I put it away. Last night I woke up probably, I don't know, multiple times. And every time I woke up, I would look and scroll through Twitter and just look for the latest. Mm-hmm. And then I would see something that kind of made me feel like, okay, that's where we are. And then I would go back to sleep. Like, this is not sustainable. And it's also not healthy.
You're going to have to move to Oregon and start having legal cocaine and meth. And you can stay up.
Goodness, Carl.
It's speaking of things that have passed, things that develop.
The new policy is calling for a humane, cost-effective, and health approach to drug use. Only a small amount of drugs are being decriminalized, less than 1 gram of heroin or MDMA, commonly known as Molly or ecstasy, 2 grams of cocaine or methamphetamine or meth, 12 grams of magic mushrooms, and 40 doses of LSD, oxycodone, or methadone. Anyone in possession of these amounts will be given addiction services and met with a fine of up to $100. Oregon will fund this plan through marijuana tax revenue, which has topped $100 million. And over 100 organizations support this proposal, including the Oregon Nurses Association and the Oregon Academy of Family Physicians.
So meanwhile, in Oregon, good grief, people.
So it's not legal. It's just not criminal. You still get fined.
Interesting. $100? Yeah.
If you're on meth, that you might not have $100 if you're addicted so much to this, and they're going to give you treatment if you get caught with it. So it's still weird. It's very libertarian.
Mm-hmm. Man, see, okay, so I'm scrolling on Twitter right here. Steve Cortez, who is Trump 2020 campaign senior advisor for strategy. His tweet is 6 minutes ago. Trump's second term will be amazing for workers, energy, and Hispanics. We're certifying the win to continue the great American Renaissance. And then he's using a whiteboard to explain things. There's a very aggressive and forward understanding that Trump is still very, very much in this. And I'm what I refer to as a realist, what some might say is a pessimist. I am trying to prepare myself for the worst and hope for the best. And I think that in doing that, I will be emotionally more prepared to handle whatever comes next. And this is, I mean, I know how I'm going to feel if Joe Biden wins this election. I don't know what's going to happen if Donald Trump ends up winning this election. Last night we saw outside in Arizona, they had a protest of sorts outside of a vote counting place, and they were all kneeling and praying. So we protest a little bit differently, at least at this point, while the decision isn't finally in. I don't imagine that if Donald Trump loses, that there are going to be riots in the streets that are started by Trump supporters. That's for sure. But I do know that all of the big cities were boarding up their businesses in the wake of the days before the election. And if Joe Biden loses, I think that that's going to be, necessary. I don't know. I'm worried about what's going to happen next. And I'm worried that no matter what happens, even in the chance that how this ends up unfolding, I'm worried that people aren't going to trust the system. And if you go back to what the Russian, right after the 2016 election, I think it was in December of 2016, the FBI, I believe, came out and they had like 16 Russian arrests that they had made for people who interfered with our election. Had nothing to do with Trump, and they proved that it had nothing to do with Trump. They also said that it didn't change a single vote. There was no measurable impact on anything that they did when they tried to get into social media and, create division. They made it clear that the point of what Russia or any foreign government like Russia is trying to do is they're trying to make us doubt our system. It's not about being pro-Trump or pro-Biden or anti-Trump or anti-Biden. It's about America and American values and the American system. They want us to doubt it. I think we're probably going to be there. And it's sad. I want to have confidence in it. I want to feel as though whatever the end result here is the one that the American people voted for. And maybe we will. I'm leaving room for that to be the case. But there's going to be a lot of charged emotion in this. There's going to be a lot of doubt, and there's going to be a lot of hurt. And like I said, in 2022, regardless of who wins this, that other party is going to come back with a vengeance in those midterms. Congressman Andy Biggs of Arizona's 5th District, he's in the U.S. House of Representatives, is going to join us when we come back. And he's had experience of this vote counting situation in Arizona affecting him, winning, losing, winning, back and forth. And we're going to talk with Congressman Biggs when we come back. And at 2:00, Jason Chaffetz is going to join us. Very excited to have that conversation as well. Stick around. We'll be back with more of the Annie Frey Show in just a minute.
All for you. The world I love, the trains are hard to be part of. The wave can't stop. Come and tell me when it's time to
Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
Music, the great communicator. Use these sticks to make it in the nature.
Buying or selling a home? Well, you need to go with the very best to get that done in a way that's going to ease the stress and make it happen fast. It's the Monsheen team, the #1 agents for Berkshire Hathaway Alliance Real Estate since 2005, and they are ranked in the top 5 in all of St. Louis out of the 14,000 agents that are here. And man, the Monsheen team, when I've met with Christy and I met JT, they're so passionate about what they do, but they're passionate about doing it right. And they make you feel good when you're around them. And you know that they're going to do a great job in selling your home. They know they're going to do a great job in finding you the home that you are looking for. It's more than just a business to them. It's personal. They're a family-owned business, and they've sold over $80 million in sales in 2019. It's amazing work that they've done. They have a small team with a large volume of sales, and they have that family attitude at the center. It's the most important thing to them. And it shows with the way that they are going to work with you. Thinking of selling, they get it done fast, and they build their business on continued relationships. It's the Monsheen team, 636-537-8288. That's 636-537-8288. Online at themonsheenteam.com. That's the Monsheen, MONSCHEIN team.com.
I feel like I got a great value. I am ecstatic about the diamond that I selected.
Meet Josh Pearl, another raving fan of Diamonds Direct.
I came in with an expectation of what I wanted to spend, and I walked out with a diamond that I was really pleased with.
Before coming to Diamonds Direct, Josh did a ton of online research trying to educate himself. But what he found out was that looking at grading specs on paper means nothing until you see multiple diamonds side by side.
On paper, when they say it's an excellent cut or a good cut, that's great. I don't know what that looks like. How does that translate into what the diamond actually looks like?
Diamonds Direct. Best education, best selection, best warranties, best value, and best of all, the best experience.
People really appreciate places that add a value of customer service to the people that walk into them. And I think that's exactly what Diamonds Direct does. They were glad that they helped me find a ring that I was ecstatic about.
Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Olive and 270 at City Place.
If you've listened to 97.1 FM Talk, you have heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple on the station as the financial expert for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a weekend on 97.1 FM Talk, and in case you miss any of those shows, on his podcast on radio.com. That's radio.com, and search Safe Money 97.1. So call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Hi, Sean Long for STL Fenceworks. STL Fenceworks has been the go-to for fences, decks, and sunrooms for nearly 50 years. The explanation is simple. Our unwavering dedication to our core principles of quality, service, and affordability. STL Fenceworks says quality. It's in our people and products, like Wolf Decking, Ameristar Ornamental Fence, and MVP Vinyl Fence. American-made, committed to excellence. STL Fenceworks embodies service from first contact through project completion. It's an enhanced customer experience due to our professional staff. And STL Fenceworks delivers affordability through volume purchasing, low overhead, and 50 years working knowledge. We deliver more than our competition for less. STL Fenceworks is the conflux of these principles, and that's value added to you. Now more than ever, we intend to exceed your expectations and deliver your backyard vision through our timeless, quality-first approach at an affordable cost with the utmost in service, craftsmanship, and professionalism. If you need a fence, deck, or sunroom, the solution is STL Fenceworks. At STL Fenceworks, your satisfaction is our passion.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. You're not the only one working more from inside your home. So is your HVAC system. If your system needs service, Air Comfort Service will promptly and safely be there for you. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
The Tim Jones Show.
I always say that. I always say over at the WHO, like they're next door.
I always envision it as being right in the middle of the ocean, above it.
Like hovering?
Yeah.
Like the lost city of Atlantis?
WHO, it's for the whole world.
Yeah.
Tim Jones, Sunday nights at 7
on 97.1 FM Talk.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie. This is the Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Hope you are having a beautiful Thursday as we muddle through the aftermath of this election, and we're still trying to find out what is going on so many fronts. It's really kind of hard to follow it and to understand. They're finding votes here, they're finding ballots there. New ballots are being, entered in Georgia, and you just sit here and you feel very helpless, and you don't really understand these individual states and their histories, and it's stressful. So we wanted to get somebody on who does understand specifically Arizona much better than we do, and that is Congressman Andy Biggs, and he joins us right now. He is in the 5th District in Arizona. Congressman, a real pleasure to have you on the show today. And as I understand, as I've been following on your Twitter, you obviously know a little bit about Arizona vote counts and the ups and downs that can go along with that. And we're very grateful that you're here to talk to us about that today.
Well, Annie, thanks for having me. I'm pretty familiar with the Arizona voting system. Yeah.
So what can you tell us about as ballots have been counted? We're hearing outside of Arizona, we're hearing things about Sharpies. We're hearing things about messed up ballots. We're hearing things about ballots that weren't even counted from Election Day. And when the state was already called, it just seems like a big mess from the outside looking in. What's it like to you sitting there in the state of Arizona and watching this firsthand?
Well, there's some of it that's very normal that's taking place in Arizona. Fox really blew it by calling it for Biden so early. We had 1 million people out, 1 million ballots, almost a third of all of our ballots had not even been counted or started to be counted. So in Arizona, they count on a first in, first out basis. So what happens is the first ballots that they were counting on that Tuesday that were being reported were early ballots. All of those were early ballots, and then they had started counting the late early ballots, the ballots that had been received the Friday, Saturday, and Monday before the election. Then they're just now today counting the day of ballots. Those are the ballots. That's just the way they do it because those are the next ballots in the priority list. And then after that, they'll be going to later today and tomorrow, they'll be counting the early ballots that people didn't mail in, but that actually they hand carried them to the polling place and left them there. And so as it started yesterday, you had over 600,000 votes that had not even been counted. They reported on about 90,000 some odd yesterday, and some of the counties are reporting various numbers out here, probably in the next 30 minutes or so, 30 minutes to an hour. But those aren't the big counties. The big county in Arizona is Maricopa, 5 million people in it, and they in and of themselves started off in excess of 450,000 ballots uncounted. So that gives you kind of a flavor of how Arizona counts it. The Sharpie thing is, we can get into that if you want. That's an interesting thing too. So, but the process is normalized and it's open and transparent. So like Trump has attorneys there, the party has attorneys there. There's outside observers allowed to watch the counts in all the counting places for both parties. So at least that part of it has been normal in Arizona.
I want to ask you what effect that very early call, which, for us observing here in St. Louis, we're watching Georgia not get called. We're watching, North Carolina not get called. A lot of these states seemed like they were pretty confident going to go to Donald Trump. And there is some hesitation to make that call. Arizona, it just got called so quickly in Fox News. How does that early call, you said they really blew it, how does that early call affect the outcome of the election?
Well, we'll never know if it affected the outcome, but what we do know is that it was so early, and you see the kind of the turmoil it's caused around the nation calling it Arizona early. I mean, the Biden camp says, well, they just need to win Nevada, and they win. That's not necessarily true because I think Arizona is going to actually go Trump. But we actually had in Arizona, the law is if you're in line when the polls close at 7 p.m., no matter how long it takes you to get up to the front and vote, you get to vote, and that's a valid vote, and it's not provisional or anything. That's a valid vote because you were in line. Mm-hmm. So we had people in line at the time that they issued their call. And as I say, we had over 1 million ballots that hadn't even been counted and were not going to be counted for sure at the time they issued the call. So it just didn't make any sense, and it engendered panic in Arizona, for a lot of people who are voters, and so some might have felt, well, why bother or whatnot, but it was just grossly irresponsible.
We're speaking with Congressman Andy Bigg of Arizona's 5th District. Do you think why they made that call quickly? Do you think that they thought that they had information that they didn't, as though it was a mistake? Or do you think that there was just a confidence that in the end, no matter what happened in shaking out, it would end up going for Biden?
I can't figure out the motivation because for those of us who are on the ground, the reporting from the Secretary of State's office that we were getting was that ballots coming in throughout the day were 2 and 3 times 3 to 1 for almost 3 to 1 for Republicans to Democrats, and almost 2 to 1 for independents to Democrats on day of voting and balloting. Those types of people returning ballots that they could find. So, and that wasn't exit polling; that was actually official tallies coming out. Well, what that tells you is that the Democrats got out and they got the early vote. And that's exactly what we expected in Arizona, and we expected Republicans because they were holding their ballots to come in late. So it was either an ignorance or not a misunderstanding. They just simply didn't understand what was happening in Arizona. Mm-hmm. Make no mistake, it's close, but it's so close that neither side should be saying, yeah, he was going to win. at that point, or who was going to win at that point.
Congressman Andy Biggs, do you think Trump is going to win Arizona?
I do think so. I mean, start of the day today, you were sitting right around 500,000 votes left to count. The trends for what we have already is Trump was winning those back at a rate of almost 60%. And then there are some counties that we know that he was returning 8-1. 80% to 80%. Well, that tells me that he's in position to win, and there is enough landing space for him to win. And I believe he's going to win.
I think that Fox News is going to have to, if I can't imagine that they retract the state to then call it again for Biden. It almost seems like at this point, the hesitation means that a retraction would be to potentially make a declaration the other way. Do you have any anticipation on how Fox would react to that? Because they were the leaders, obviously, in making that initial call.
Well, I think they should retract and just say, look, the race is tightening, so we're waiting for further information. So we're going to retract till we get that additional information. And that's probably, in my opinion, it's going to be very close, but President Trump's going to win. It may trigger a recount. We don't know. We also have some issues that some ballots that I think people are trying to investigate to see what happened in certain cases, whether it was voter suppression or whatever.
One last question before we let you go. We're speaking with Congressman Andy Biggs of Arizona's 5th District. So far, it looks like the House is +6 for the Republicans. And in the midst of all of what we're seeing with the presidential election, I think a lot of these really key, anti-blue wave stories aren't getting talked about right now as much. What are your thoughts about going into these next 2 years with a smaller majority for Nancy Pelosi and her Democrats? You think Nancy Pelosi is going to retain her speakership?
I think she probably will, but I think she'll be constrained in what she can do and what she can't do. I mean, when you think about this, she bragged that they were going to pick up 10 to 15 seats. Instead of that, it's going to be Republicans that pick up probably 10 to 15 seats. And if that happens, there was already unrest in the Democrats. A lot of them don't like her. They feel she's authoritarian, et cetera, which is not surprising because she's of that mind to be authoritarian. But the fact that they lost seats, I think, gives a stronger position to the far left wing of her conference. And I think if she retains her seat, which I think she probably will, they're going to put all kinds of restrictions on her and make it very difficult for her to govern the way she wants to.
Well, Congressman Biggs, we are very grateful for your time. And of course, the country's eyes are on Arizona as they are on the rest of these states. And we hope in the end that they do end up getting it right. And some patience at the beginning would have served everybody a bit well. I think the story became outside of what the actual election was going to warrant there. And so we're grateful for you. Thank you so much for the time. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Annie. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye. It's Congressman Andy Biggs, Arizona's 5th District. He was putting out tweets initially. He's like, I've been in races where I was way, way down. And after they counted the rest of the ballots, all of the ballots, he ended up winning. And, it's just that I do not understand the need for Arizona to have made the call when they did. I don't understand the rush to it, especially with, I don't want the rest of the states to be called super quickly if there's a possibility that the call is wrong. And at the end, I don't know what's it like to be the decision desk people right now at Fox News. Are they like shaking in their boots because they're afraid they got this wrong? Or are they just sitting back, leaning back and going, just wait until everybody sees we were right. We knew, and we had our algorithm and our, 4 standard deviation, whatever it was that he was saying. And I was like, okay, you sound like you're a smart guy. You sound like you know what you're doing. But I don't understand the rush to this, especially when, according to Congressman Biggs there, they still had people in line. How do you go through and make a call when there are still people in line to vote?
I thought they weren't supposed to do that.
To do what? To make
I
the
thought
call?
I thought that was the gentleman's agreement that they weren't supposed to call a state until all the voting had stopped.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, I know what it's like to be in Illinois and see like the second the clock strikes 7, Illinois goes blue. It's like, okay, yes, of course. I understand that. I assume that was going to happen. So I can relate to that, but Arizona is not that kind of state. It was going to be one that was very close. So we'll wait and see. When we come back, we're going to be speaking with Jason Chaffetz. I'm very excited to speak to him, former chairman of the Committee on Oversight and Governance and Government Reform. He's also a Fox News contributor. It'll be interesting to hear what he thinks about how this process has gone so far and how the Trump campaign is reacting to the news as it develops in the lawsuits and everything. So we're going to speak with Jason Chaffetz about that. Kevin Wheeler is going to join us at 2:25 as well, and we will discuss with him all sorts of different things, like, Colton Wong and Tyler O'Neill winning Gold Gloves, and Colton Wong being a free agent. And what's that free agency going to look like this year? Because it's going to be very different than a standard year. So lots still to come on the Annie Frey Show. Make sure you join us on our live streams. You can watch us at facebook.com/Annie Frey Show, and you can watch us live on the Annie Frey YouTube channel. So you can participate in a chat there and join us and just kind of enjoy the conversation, meet some other Annie Frey Show listeners, and they've become friends. It's fun to listen to them and watch them talk to each other and react to the things that we're dealing with here on the daily basis. Any other news breaks through the rest of the hour, we will have it for you right here on the Annie Frey Show. Stick around. We'll be back in just a minute.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe. This is the Annie Frey Show.
If you are looking for a home warranty, please check out my friends at Upkeep Home Warranty and Maintenance. That maintenance part of their title is extremely important. Most home warranty companies out there want to deny your claim due to lack of maintenance. They claim you haven't been taking care of your equipment over time, so they don't have to help you out. Well, at Upkeep, they completely eliminate that worry by sending their own technicians out to your home 4 times a year to do the general maintenance for you. And if you ever need service done, they will either repair or replace your equipment, and that work is also being done by an Upkeep employee. It's not a third-party contractor trying to upsell you. Their plans are extremely affordable. You can even divide your payments up over the 12 months of the year. And when you use code DGS, you get $100 off your service. To check out all of their different home warranty plans, go to their website, upkeepstl.com. That's upkeepstl.com.
The economy was booming. Business was thriving. But then the greatest health and economic crisis of our generation shook our country. Entrepreneurs asked, how will my business and employees survive? Insperity was built for times like this. Driven by our mission to help businesses succeed so communities prosper, we were there to help them navigate their way and ultimately rise above. Insperity, HR that makes a difference.
You want to retire soon, but everyone keeps telling you to wait until you're 65. After all, that's the age that you qualify for Medicare and you're close to full retirement age. I'm Marvin Mitchell, president of Compass Retirement Solutions. In my new book, Retire Early, The 9 Critical Decisions When Retiring Before 65, I discuss proper planning to help make early retirement possible. When to take Social Security, what to do with your 401k, healthcare, how to maximize retirement income, and much more. Get a complimentary copy of Retire Early by calling 1-800-743-8510. That's 1-800-743-8510. Can you retire early? Call 1-800-743-8510 for your copy of Retire Early, The 9 Critical Decisions When Retiring Before 65.
Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Compass Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
Has this ever happened to you? I wasn't feeling great, so I searched my symptoms on Google, and now I'm being followed by really uncomfortable ads. I hate feeling like my personal information is being bought and sold. I got DuckDuckGo and saw a difference right away. With one download, you can search and browse privately, avoiding trackers, all for free. It's that simple. Take back your privacy online with DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
KFTK FM Florissant, K254CR St. Louis, driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group. 97.1 FM Talk, a radio.com station.
They're not giving up. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. The Trump campaign has now filed several lawsuits seeking greater transparency in the vote counting process, with 4 battlegrounds still too close to call. And they're still not convinced about the call made for Joe Biden in Arizona.
They remain confident that when all is said and done in the Grand Canyon state of Arizona, President Trump will prevail. They got a tranche of votes that came in last night. The president's still about 68,000 behind Joe Biden, but he did pick up 11,000 votes on Biden. And as the late ballots come in, the president's campaign say that he is performing better than he needs to, and that while it will be close, while it will be tight, eventually they believe the president is going to win. Of course, the Biden campaign says exactly the opposite.
Fox's John Roberts. At least 2 challenges have been tossed out so far, including one in Michigan. Fox's Jeff Manasso has this live.
Lisa, the Trump campaign sued Michigan for allowing mail-in ballots to be counted without Republican observers. Michigan Judge Cynthia Stevens says too late.
This suit was announced yesterday morning and the count was beginning. It was filed at 4 o'clock, at which point the count had largely proceeded, I am told.
The judge also called it hearsay, an affidavit where a local elections official described instructions to change receipts on a ballot. So for now, no relief for President Trump in Michigan, who trails Joe Biden there unofficially by almost 150,000 votes. Lisa.
Thanks, Jeff. Facebook has taken down a Stop the Steal group that had grown to 365,000 members in a single day. The social media giant says some members were posting misinformation and violent rhetoric, trying to delegitimize the election process, and that removing the group is in line with the, quote, exceptional measures being taken during a time of heightened tension. America is listening to Fox News.
Do not hire Franklin & Sons Electrical. The guy told me he'd shrink my monthly bill, and I'm like, dude, it's too small to read as it is.
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
Then he's like, where's the circuit breaker? I'm like, bro, I didn't break anything.
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial, auto, and business insurance.
He told me I had a blown fuse. It's called a short fuse, and yes, I do have one, so watch yourself.
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
Walgreens has always been there to help make your healthcare easier. From making sure you have the prescriptions you need to answering any questions you have about them. Now, the question is whether you have the right Medicare plan. And we're here to help make that easier too. Walgreens can save you money and peace of mind with copays as low as $0. Visit walgreens.com/Medicare today to see how. Walgreens. We make Medicare easy. $0 copay on Tier 1 generic drugs when enrolled in a plan with Walgreens as a preferred pharmacy.
Air Comfort Service heating and cooling weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Partly to mostly sunny skies with us on this Thursday afternoon, 72, 73 for the high. Tonight, clear skies and chilly, 49. Friday, keep it coming, sunny and 75. And how about keeping it coming for the weekend? Top 10 weekend on the way, Saturday and Sunday, partly to mostly sunny skies, 70 to 75 each day. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's open enrollment season, and MediShare is a Christian healthcare sharing ministry that saves most families about $500 a month. Google MediShare and see if it's a right fit for you. And check out the podcast from the Associated Press, Ground Game, hosted by AP's digital editor, Megan Crane.
Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm here in St. Louis. I've been warning our clients that IRS employees are back at work since mid-July, and their collection efforts have ramped up. Well, sure enough, it looks like it's happening. So if you have unfiled tax returns, wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, now's the time to call the Lance Drury Law Firm before the IRS calls you. Tax resolution plans are based off your current income. So if your current income is less than normal due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this is precisely the time for the Lance Drury Law Firm to help you. Your consultation is free, so don't put it off. The Lance Drury Law Firm focuses solely on tax resolution law. It's all we do. And if you have IRS problems, you have legal problems. Let us use our tax law resolution experience to guide you and work on your custom resolution plan. Call now. It's free and confidential. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120 or go to Lance, D-R-U-R-Y law.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
Looking to build a home in the future? Well, if you are looking to build in the beautiful Metro East, look no further than C.A. Jones. Online at cajonesinc.com, you can look right now and see some of the stunning homes that they've built, that they have available. They got pricing there as well. They are the largest Metro East home builder, and they specialize in the Metro East area. Here's their phone number. You can put this down, call them or text them to talk to them about what they can do for you. 618-777-6080, 618-777-6080. They have an easy buy program, and they're very excited about this. This is where C.A. Jones can build your home with minimal costs down. With C.A. Jones Easy Buy program, no 20% down, no interest payments while your home is being built, or any of the extra headaches that come along with a traditional construction loan. C.A. Jones is going to take care of all of it for you. It's really that simple. Call or text 618-777-6080 or go online at cajonesinc.com to schedule your appointment to speak to a home specialist about building your next home. cajonesinc.com.
Critical thinking for critical times. The free exchange of ideas. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Download the radio.com app and stream the station wherever you go. The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not a married sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not married sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
President Trump is dragging down Republican senators with him.
For parties, sometimes you're the windshield and sometimes you're the bug. And this year, it looks like Republicans are the bug.
This could be the year where Texas goes blue.
More likely, as we sit tonight, that Joe Biden wins a landslide.
If we see in those final polls the type of lead that Joe Biden has now, the polls are not going to be wrong.
Well, they were really, really, really wrong. And we're not talking about that as much as we are talking about not only was there not a Joe Biden landslide, Joe Biden might not even become the 46th president of the United States. We don't know yet. There's a lot that we don't know, and we're continuing to monitor that as we progress here through the show. I want to get straight to our guest. Very excited to have Jason Chaffetz on. He's the former chairman of the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. He's also a Fox News contributor. You can check out his website, jasoninthehouse.com, and his book, Power Grab. Jason, thank you so much for coming on with us. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I love your intro, by the way. That was really good. That was
fun for
very
a
good.
supercut. Anytime you can get a supercut together, it just kind of sums it up real nice. You know, in there they
Yeah,
said
good stuff.
they said that Trump would be dragging down the GOP. Well, explain to me the +6 Republican seats right now in the House of Representatives. Did Trump give him a bump, or was it the Democrats' message that scared people into voting Republican? What do you credit some of these GOP victories that we're seeing nationwide?
Well, I think the ones that kind of tried to distance themselves from Donald Trump as Republicans paid the political price. you had other people who embraced it and did exceptionally well. I think of Lauren Boebert, for instance, the new congresswoman out of Colorado's 3rd congressional district. She was all in with Donald Trump, and she did exceptionally well, despite being outspent by literally millions of dollars. And those kinds of things happen all around the country. All these pundits and the political folks and social media companies that tried to huff and puff and blow Donald Trump down and just say, hey, it's going to be a landslide. It's not going to be close. There's going to be a blue wave. Quite the opposite happened. I mean, look at the United States Senate. I mean, they were going to knock off Joni Ernst and didn't. They were going to knock off Steve Daines in Montana and didn't. They were going to get rid of Susan Collins and didn't. And so you go right on down the line, and thank goodness Chuck Schumer is going to continue to be the minority leader, I believe, in the United States Senate. And Donald Trump has an uphill path, no doubt about it. But certainly there was no blue wave or big blue blowout.
When we're watching, we're speaking with Jason Chaffetz right now. When we're watching these returns come in, lawsuits start happening, I feel like the average American gets less detached gets more detached to the actual details of what is going on because we just understand it less and less, which we usually compensate the less we know with the more we feel. And there are a lot of Americans who are looking at this and they're scared for their candidate on both sides. They're worried that there's going to be something that takes place that is going to potentially, cause this election to be able to be stolen from the candidate that they're rooting for here. When you're looking at this as an elected official who's won national office, what are your big concerns, your rational, reasonable concerns about what could be taking place from the time people stopped casting their ballots to whatever amount of time it takes to get to an actual decision?
Well, you just want the legal, lawful ballots to be counted. Nobody's suggesting that we suppress anybody's ballot or votes. But, you look at the state of Florida, one of our biggest states, and somehow by, 10, 11 o'clock at night, they figured it all out. They had systems in place, and neither party complained about it. I'm not aware of any Democrats complaining about it. They may not have liked the result, but the integrity was there. But then you start to look at these other states, and it gets highly suspicious when, for instance, you see video of them putting up boards on windows so the public and observers can't watch. When the distance between the observers from both parties has to be so far that you really can't compare signatures. When you hear stories of tens of thousands of ballots coming in after the election, those types of things just give you pause. And I think for the average person, they're exhausted. Campaigns are exhausting enough. But, how did we get to this point where anybody thought it was a good idea to send out millions of ballots and not be able to authenticate them, just throw them into the wind? It's just, Donald Trump foreshadowed this problem. And now we're living through the nightmare of trying to figure out who legitimately won the vote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's just so many question marks that exist. And, I'm curious if we even have the ability to answer these questions. And it seems to me like the more obvious it is that we do need some sort of ways to authenticate these ballots. Some people talk about voter ID. Other people talk about, making sure that we're matching signatures. And in some places, we're not even matching signatures. Do you think that this situation here, this scenario here with record turnout will push us in the direction of having some of those maybe even federal regulations over what is usually a states' rights issue?
Well, I would never want us to make the mistake of thinking that federal elections are a good thing to do. That's not our history. It's not the way it should be. It's what Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats want because they want to do lots of other things out there. The core difference between Republicans and Democrats on this is authenticating the vote, making sure that people have voter identification. I mean, they make you do it to get on an airplane. They make you to do it. I mean, how many other things can you name where you just got to authenticate that you are who you are. Mm-hmm. And look at how the parties have framed the discussion right now. Republicans are saying every legal ballot should be counted, and Democrats are saying every ballot should be counted. whether or not it's legal is the implication. And that's just not right. Personally, if I could just wave my magic wand, everybody would vote on the same day, or maybe 2 or 3 days, maybe a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, at the same time with the same information and the same way. And you'd have to do that in person unless you went through the process of going through and getting a provisional ballot because you're sick, you're in the hospital, you're in a nursing home, or maybe you're on a business trip or serving our military overseas. But make everybody vote same day, same time, same way, and show an identification. I think I would hope that's where we would go eventually. But that's not where we are right now. We're quite the opposite.
And we're seeing the consequences of that. I agree with that. We're speaking with Jason Chaffetz. Check out his book, Power Grab, The Liberal Scheme to Undermine Trump, the GOP, and Our Republic. I played that.
And we talk about it. If I can jump in there.
Please.
I talk about how the Democrats for years have been planning, plotting, and wanting this to happen. Now, COVID accelerated it. But Democrats have long sought to do this type of thing. And it's just not right.
Yeah, it's certainly going to. I mean, there is going to be so much emotion for whomever loses, however this ends up shaking out. At this point, I don't know that the side that loses is going to feel like they lost a fair, just because of all of the question marks and the ballots that keep showing up and the numbers ticking down or ticking up depending on who you're watching. I think that I really wish that we did have some more uniform process of going through this. I wanted to ask you about the polls that were out, kind of that supercut that I was playing there. All of these predictions leading into the election. There's this known in the media, known understanding of what the Trump voter is and what they aren't, and what the average American, sensible American thinks and believes and subscribes to, and they just got it so incredibly wrong. Is there any possibility that the media adjusts their reliance on these polls and the way they utilize these polls going into elections to better prepare the American people for what's coming ahead? Because this is partially, in part, why people are feeling like they were lied to. They've been told for so long that this was going to go such a drastically different way, and they blew it.
Well, I would have thought after the 2016 election, the Donald Trump defeating Hillary Clinton, everybody said it was going to be Hillary Clinton. And at the end of the day, Donald Trump pretty much trounced her, certainly in the Electoral College. And so, but instead of kind of recalibrating and saying, hey, we better understand middle America, we better understand the people in Missouri and in Utah and everywhere else, they didn't do that. They kind of doubled down and basically cast Trump supporters as idiots and bigots and racists. They drugged Donald Trump for 4 years through the mud with all these allegations, none of which were true. They spent tens of millions of dollars through the Department of Justice to go out and try to find some dirt on him. Couldn't find anything on him or his family. And so they drug him through impeachment in the House of Representatives. That failed. Interestingly enough, we go into the campaign with Joe Biden. Did anybody even mention impeachment on the Democratic side? No, but they were so convinced that it was right. But they never really truly understood that the policies and the no nonsense that Donald Trump represented is reflective of what I think so much of America wants. There's a reason why so many Democrats flipped over and voted for Donald Trump in 2016 and 2020, and why Donald Trump reached new record levels with minorities and other groups that they all said Donald Trump was going to lose in such a major way, and he didn't. Mm-hmm. No matter what you conclude on the, where the final vote tally is, there was not this big blowout that the media promised you. And I don't know why anybody pays any attention to any of these polls, because they've never been right for the last, name the time period.
Yeah, it just seems as though the people, the talking heads, seem so like they're so convinced they understand. Specifically us here, we're in St. Louis, Missouri. We know that we're flyover country, and we know that there's an element of the coastal vibe that goes into broadcasting and covering these stories. But you just know that there's a detachment between what they think about flyover country voters or people who are not in the big cities, the detachment is something you get used to, but then when you're listening to all of these experts giving you polls, it's disenchanting for voters to listen to this over and over and over again. And it's a little maddening as somebody who does support the president and the policies specifically that he wants to take and implement in this country. And see that it's hard to find that voice out there that's willing to get in touch with the average American citizen. It's you feel very underrepresented.
It totally. And look, you know what I've really admired about Donald Trump is he will take questions from anybody, and he does it almost on a daily basis. The guy should be winning awards for openness and transparency and his willingness to engage and answer questions of all sorts. But compare and contrast that to Kamala Harris, to Joe Biden. They got questions like, what flavor of ice cream is that? They never took serious hardball questions. And as soon as they actually got into debate and he had to say, well, yeah, he wants to transition out of the fossil fuel industry and, totally dismantle the way energy works in this country, then their whole story, their whole house of cards starts to fall apart. I think the reason, for instance, in Southern Florida, Donald Trump did so well is really force the issue and shed light on the idea that Biden-Harris really represents a move towards socialism. And you had so many people who came from Venezuela and Cuba and other places who this is their number one issue, and they all went to Donald Trump. So to part of your issue here is it would be another thing if they gave hard questions to the Democrats, but they never do that. There's never Hunter Biden, all the critical questions there. They never even get asked a single question about that stuff.
Yeah. And the voters are the ones, the American citizens are the ones that are left out in the dark, and it causes us to become more polarized, which is not healthy either. Jason Chaffetz, it's a pleasure to have you here. I really want to encourage people to check out this book. It's very appropriate for this moment in time. Power Grab: The Liberal Scheme to Undermine Trump, the GOP, and Our Republic. You can go to his website to get that as well, and follow you on Twitter at Jason in the House. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Today. Yep. We'll talk to you again soon. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be speaking with Kevin Wheeler, KMOX sports reporter, and he is going to talk to us about the latest goings on with the St. Louis Cardinals, what they are anticipating potentially doing here in the off season, maybe a little Blues conversation about what's going to start there as well. And we're also keeping our eye on the results of the election as they continue to come in. Georgia, Trump's up by almost 13,000 votes. Nevada, Biden is up by 11,000 votes. North Carolina, Trump's up by almost 77,000 votes. In Pennsylvania, Trump has a lead of 102,000 votes. So right now, Trump's got Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. Biden has Nevada, and the big question around Arizona still exists. Let's take a quick break. Kevin Wheeler when we come back.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. I'm Thomas Helbig, founder of the Retirement Advisory Group. When I meet my clients for the first time, many of them have worked over 90,000 hours and have built up a life savings. Their question is, what can I do with this money so we can live comfortably the rest of our lives? Not only do we set up a strategy to protect your retirement nest egg from market losses, but we build your own personalized structured income plan that will generate you an income the rest of your life. We put you in control of your money. You've earned it, and it's my job to make sure you enjoy it. Let our team show you how you can have the retirement of your dreams. Call me now for a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review, and you'll get a copy of my second edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. This book covers everything I teach in my live educational events. Call me now at 314-993-9494 or online at retirementkey.com. Once again, that's 314-993-9494 or online at retirementkey.com.
Get ready for SEC football. Saturdays in Columbia, Missouri will look different than ever before. Your support during this time is needed now more than ever. A Southeastern Conference only schedule. It's the cream of the crop. It's SEC football at Faurot Field. To support your Tigers, contact the Tiger Scholarship Fund. Call 1-800-CAT-PAWS or visit tsfmizzou.com. MIZ.
I want to tell you about why you need to get your refinance done with Stewart's American Mortgage in October. First of all, rates are low. They've been low, and you want to make sure that you secure that for yourself. Also, there's this little fee that's creeping in starting December 1st from the government, and it's going to be part of mortgages going forward once we get to that date. Stewart has a super fast turnaround, and if you get in with Stewart's American Mortgage right now and get your process started, you're going to save money in the long run, even more so than you save with the bagel loan to begin with. Remember, it's called the bagel loan because it looks like a zero, which is what you pay in fees that other lenders are going to charge you for. Here's what you need to do. Call or text 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Mention Annie when you do and get your refi started right now with the bagel loan. You can also ask about the Bank Buster loan. These rates are even lower. It's a fast turnaround, and Stewart's waiting for your phone call. You can Google the bagel loan. You can visit stewartsamc.com and MLS number 226715.
Attention St. Louis homeowners. Are you looking to sell your house without all the stress? Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis can buy your house cash and close on your timeline. No commissions, no repairs, no appraisals, no showings, no headache. Call Chris now, 314-782-7000, or go online to chrisbuysHomesSTL.com to get a free no-obligation cash offer for your house. Behind on payments? The tenant stopped paying the rent? The house needs too many repairs? Not a problem. Chris buys houses in any condition and deals with any situation. There's a reason why Chris Buys Homes is the most trusted home buyer in St. Louis. Go online to get your offer today. chrisbuysHomesSTL.com or call 314-782-7000. That's 314-782-7000.
The latest local forecast and severe weather coverage you can count on from the name in St. Louis weather.
This is 97.1's Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
On 97.1 FM Talk. Powered by Air Comfort Service. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
First touch of summer, she's got your t-shirt on.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. We are continuing to monitor the glacial pace of the election results as they continue to just trickle in. And, we listened to the Nevada voter registrar from, what was it, Clark County? Yeah, Clark County, Nevada. At the beginning of the show, we listened to this press conference. He said that they could be counting ballots up until November 12th. They had to be postmarked by Election Day, but if they're postmarked, they give until November 12th for them to come in. So who knows? Who knows how this is going to end up? But we are keeping our eye on it. And if anything breaks throughout the course of the show, we will go straight to it. So you're in the right place. However, there are other things going on, and you probably do, if you're like me, welcome a little bit of a change every once in a while. And so we're going to talk a little sports now with Kevin Wheeler, KMOX sports reporter, our go-to guy every Thursday for the latest in what is going on with the St. Louis Cardinals, the St. Louis Blues, or sports in general. Kevin, great to have you back. We appreciate the conversation.
Yep, and I'll tell you what, I appreciate being the diversion because I live in that sports world, so I get to ignore a lot of the BS.
Oh, yeah, and we are very envious of you for that very purpose. I want to ask you specifically, we've got a Colton Wong and a Tyler O'Neill Golden Glove. Pretty exciting stuff to have those awards to the St. Louis Cardinals team, but Colton Wong is now a free agent. Last week, you were telling us how much the free agency market could be different this year. I assume that that's still the case. What do you expect for Colton Wong specifically in free agency or the market in general?
Oh, I think specifically to Wong, he'll have a lot of interest. I'm sure there'll be, there was a report, my friend Derek Gould from the Post-Dispatch had reported that 6 teams have at least expressed some interest. Now, nobody's making any offers right now because it's funny you're joking about the election. I mean, this is kind of how the baseball offseason is going to be. It's going to take forever, and it may take a while for teams to count up what they think they're going to be able to spend for their payrolls next year. So things are really quiet, but Wong will have a good market. It's just that he probably won't be looking at that $12.5 million for 2021 that he was going to make on the option. He'll probably be making somewhere between 50 and 80% of that in terms of an annual value, but he'll probably get a multi-year deal from somebody, considering he's still in a pretty good age for a free agent player at 30, coming into his age 30 season. So, there'll be activity there, and the Cardinals will be interested. But overall, what people expect is that the very top free agents will probably still get really nice deals, but that the middle class of free agents is going to have to get used to the idea that they're not going to make very much money this offseason, which it's not exactly heartwarming when you think about the fact that there are labor talks coming up after or during 2021 and after 2021. So last thing we want is like unhappy groups of people, players and owners in the middle of all this.
Coming into the bargaining table for sure. Is Colton Wong potentially, is there any possibility he'll be back in a Cardinals uniform even after all this is said and done?
It sure sounds like it. I mean, he said that he'd be interested in hearing about coming back. John Mozeliak said that they'd like to keep that door open. The question is really, though, like for the Cardinals, is what else is going to have to be decided, right? I mean, they have Yadi and Waino as free agents too, and what those players are going to be paid probably has some impact on what you'd be able to pay Colton Wong. Do they find that they need to add more power and use that payroll flexibility to get more, home run threat in the lineup, whether it's, second base, third base, left field, right field, whatever. They may need to use that revenue that they're saving to fill different needs. And, they have some candidates like Tommy Edman who can play second base and do some good things. So the answer is, yeah, it's definitely possible. It's just kind of dependent upon a few other things and how they all tie together.
We're speaking with Kevin Wheeler, KMOX sports reporter, about the St. Louis Cardinals as they are in the offseason. Do we know what the 2021 season looks like to begin with? I mean, are we going to get back? Are we assuming that we are back to a normal, at least schedule and makeup of how these games are going to be scheduled out throughout the course of the year, or the length of a season, 162 games? Do we know any of that yet?
Nope.
We know nothing.
Nope,
That's just kind of like the election. It's the same thing. We are in the middle of
Yes,
it.
exactly. If you want a good comparable, if you think the election drags out, wait till you see how long this offseason for baseball is going to drag. It's going to be months.
Yeah. So then how do the Cardinals prepare, or any baseball team for that matter, if with the lack of money that has been coming in this season, basically no money, no ticket sales, all of the hot dogs that weren't purchased and the beers that weren't purchased in the stands, how do these teams go about making those decisions as they enter into the next season?
I think a lot of them are trying to answer that themselves right now. My take is that, there are a handful of teams that are probably going to proceed business as usual. And it's in part because their television deals are so big that even without fans, they're covered. The Yankees, the Dodgers. I think the Mets are going to be an active team this offseason. They have a new owner coming in whose net worth is $14 billion. So, and he's a lifelong Mets fan. So people expect him to be pretty aggressive. Even though, they're not bringing in a lot of money, but that's going to be the exception. There are going to be a few of those teams. I think the other ones, and I think the Cardinals fall into this group, where they're trying to kind of be flexible and play it by ear. And then if they see something that looks like, wow, that's a really good bargain, we don't want to miss out on that opportunity, then they probably jump at an opportunity like that. But I don't know that anybody is, again, maybe outside of a few teams, is really looking to go like head first into the deep end of the pool in free agency right now.
Mm-hmm. I'm reading some reports here that Yadier Molina has been contacted by 3 teams. He wants to play 2 more seasons. He'd be 40 then, I guess, when he finished up. Is that right? Does Yadi have 2 seasons left in him? I mean, I haven't seen anything that suggests that he doesn't, but does he have 2 seasons left in him? And of course, the question that all the St. Louis fans want to know is, do the Cardinals have 2 years to give him?
Yeah, first of all, he does. I mean, I think, he keeps himself in really good shape. Now, barring injury, of course. I mean, at his age, if you have some kind of serious, especially for a catcher, some kind of serious knee injury or something, that could change it. But I think barring anything unexpected, yeah, he should be a really strong defensive catcher for at least those 2 years. The offense hasn't varied too much over large sample size. It was down a little this year, but it was only 2 months of the season, and it was messed up with COVID. So who the heck knows what it would have looked like in a normal setting? It probably would have been better. And yeah, I think the Cardinals have room for him here. I mean, they don't seem to be in a big hurry to say that the job is going to belong to the young guy. I mean, they want to stay in a window of contention, and their way of winning games right now is with pitching and defense. And he brings those two things together. He gives you a Gold Glove caliber player behind the plate, whether he's winning the award or not. He's at that level. And he also, is known, within the team to be a guy that shepherds pitchers along really well. And you see what they did this year with a lot of inexperienced guys jumping in and filling in for others while they had guys on the COVID list and other players go down with arm injuries. So I think that, there's definitely room for him there. The questions are really, they come down to, what do other teams offer? And then is it more than what the Cardinals would be willing to spend, I should say, for the age, 39 and age 40 seasons for Yachty? And I think just my read on free agency and on how players get paid, most players get paid for offense. Defense is valuable, but most players get paid for offense. I don't think the market's going to be crazy on Yachty as far as like a bidding war. So it'll be up to the Cardinals, I think, to simply beat the best offer by a little bit and do it without too much hesitation. Because I'd wonder if there's going to be just a little bit of tension about waiting on this for a lot of players. I know I'm not as worried about that with Waino. He's definitely a guy that might have to wait a little bit on the market. But if Molina gets some offers, you probably want to get on that pretty quickly.
I want to ask you, speaking about not paying people for defense and paying for offense, Cardinals Rockies third baseman Nolan Arenado winning an 8th straight Gold Glove, and it almost felt like he had one bird on the bat on his shirt there for a second when we were talking about acquiring him before. Is there a future for Arenado in St. Louis at third base? Is that something that could possibly happen?
I mean, yes, anything's possible, but I would say super unlikely. When you consider a couple things, I mean, one, they have a young third baseman that they think is going to be able to play there shortly in Nolan Gorman. And again, this is getting back to the argument: do you want to pay a young guy minimum, or do you want to pay Nolan Arenado $35 million a year? And I think more than just we have a young guy coming who can play there. That's something you can look past, and you can move that guy to another position. But Arenado has $35 million a year for the next 4 years, and then it's 32 and 27 after that. So you're talking about taking on, at this point, $200+ million, and he has an opt-out after 2021. Now, he probably won't exercise it because financial landscape in baseball is probably not going to be fully healed by then. But do you want to take the risk of trading a bunch of assets and then have him walk away after 1 year? And do you also want to take the risk of, another $35 million a year contract on a player getting it who's in his 30s now? It'd be his age 30 season in 2021, when you also have a huge free agent group of players after the 2021 season. I'm not against it. I just don't feel like it's a Cardinal move. I think that, when you look at the number of years that are there and what it'll probably cost to get him away from Colorado, I wouldn't hold my breath, and especially not now. I mean, the Cardinals were clear. John Mozeliak said that they expect the payroll to go down this year. The payroll is not going down if you're adding a $35 million third baseman.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, Kevin Wheeler, we are very envious of you and your profession at this point in time as we muddle through this election. So we appreciate the break in conversation, and we look forward to talking to you again next week.
All right, sounds good. Hope you guys can endure.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon on Twitter at Kevin Wheeler 94 if you want to follow him as well. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to check in on the latest here with what we know. And basically what we know is what we don't know pretty much at this point in time. When will we have an answer? When will we have a decision? Time will tell. I'll give you an update on where the president is in regards to Georgia, Nevada, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania when we return, and maybe even an Arizona update. Stick around. Andy Frey Show, back in a minute.
Make a move in your mind, but don't rush it. Boy, you're about to see the light. So hang on to the light.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie. This is the Annie Frey Show.
If you're looking to replace some flooring, it could be, obviously I could talk about the carpet that needs to be replaced in your bedroom, or the flooring that you want to finally put down in the basement because you need to space your house out a little bit with everybody being home a little bit more. But also, what about commercial situations? Are you in a position to make some purchasing decisions for your place of business? Does the waiting room finally need to have maybe get rid of the carpet and put down some sort of waterproof laminate kind of flooring, or maybe a waterproof stone looking flooring? There's so many different ways that flooring has been engineered now to be able to get you a look that you're going to love. But the engineering behind it, the technology behind this flooring is going to make it so much more resilient than what you've had before. So get rid of the old dingy stuff. Time to make a move, and to do it with Michael's Flooring Outlet, the very best in the bi-state region in flooring, with great prices, perfect quality, and the best customer service in the business. St. Charles County in West County and Darien Prairie, and online right now at michaelsflooringoutlet.com.
Hello, everybody. This is Sean Rimmerman, your host of We're Having a Senior Moment, every Saturday on 97.1 FM Talk. If you're concerned about slips, trips, and falls, give us a call at 314-965-9600 anytime, day or night. We'll be happy to come out and provide you with a free, no risk, no obligation, that's $125 value, safety risk assessment. We want to help you avoid those slips, those trips, those falls that could land you in the hospital.
I want to tell you about why you need to get your refinance done with Stewart's American Mortgage in October. First of all, rates are low. They've been low, and you want to make sure that you secure that for yourself. Also, there's this little fee that's creeping in starting December 1st from the government, and it's going to be part of mortgages going forward once we get to that date. Stewart has a super fast turnaround, and if you get in with Stewart's American Mortgage right now and get your process started, you're going to save money in the long run, even more so than you save with the bagel loan to begin with. Remember, it's called the bagel loan because it looks like a zero, which is what you pay in fees that other lenders are going to charge you for. Here's what you need to do. Call or text 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Mention Annie when you do, and get your refi started right now with the bagel loan. You can also ask about the Bank Buster loan. These rates are even lower. It's a fast turnaround, and Stewart's waiting for your phone call. You can Google the bagel loan. You can visit stewartsamc.com, and MLS number 226715.
The Dave Glover Show.
Be grown-ups about this. If there is voter fraud, it should be dealt with. And if by the end of all of it, there's enough voter fraud that Donald Trump has more votes, then he should win.
Weekdays at 3 on 97.1 FM Talk.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gsLHonorFlight.org. And for free HVAC estimates, visit aircomfortservice.com.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe. You're listening to the Annie Frey Show.
Falling in love with you.
Well, I can tell you, all across our state, and the advertising told the story, we paid a heavy price for the speaker's chairmanship of the Democratic Party. Candidates who had little or no connection with him whatsoever were being tarred as Madigan allies who were behind corruption and so forth and so on. It was really disconcerting to see the price that we paid on that. I hope he takes that to heart and understands that his presence as chairman of our party has not helped.
Ooh, Dick Durbin. Who thought? When I read, I thought, like, did someone get Dick Durbin to do a Babylon Bee article? What is happening here? You've got Dick Durbin saying that Mike Madigan's presence in the Democratic Party in the state of Illinois is not helping.
Wild.
Not helping. When we talked with, I guess it was House Minority Leader Jim Durkin, and I asked him about the corruption. He brought it up. He's like, don't forget about all the corruption that has made its way to Madigan's doorstep. And I said, yeah, but is that going to actually stick to him? Because he's not been charged with anything. He has not been indicted with anything. And he goes, he said, I think it is. I think it is. And he said it with confidence. So we have, Amy Ellick won the 111th district in Illinois and flipped that seat from blue to red. Katie Stewart retained her seat in my district, and she beat off Lisa Shampoli. And a lot of these individuals, specifically when I was talking about them, the one thing I wanted to know is, were you going to support Mike Madigan for speaker again? And I was told that, based on the emails that Katie Stewart was replying to, that she would support whomever the Democrats put up. So to me, it seems like, doesn't Mike Madigan have to be the one who says that he's going to step aside as a speaker? Like, there's not going to be no coup against Mike Madigan, and then he's going to just sit there like a regular House member, like all the peons in the Illinois House does. That's not going to happen. So watch closely, folks. And if you've got Dick Durbin coming out here and saying that the Mike Madigan Midas touch is no longer, wow, that's something
crazy.
That means that there's progress being made. I could not believe my ears when I heard that statement be made. All right, Carl, you have any predictions? Do you have any idea right now about when we're going to know anything? Any thoughts?
Well, not after hearing that guy from Nevada saying we're not going to have anything till the 12th. No.
Unless the outstanding ballots are not, even if
no,
not for a while.
And you know what? We're just going to talk in circles until the 12th, because right now we have lawsuits, and it's both sides. I'm waiting for the first Biden lawsuit to come out. The president has said 3 or 4 now, and the Bidens haven't said anything yet, but they will. Just get it over with. And I guess now we have to wait another week.
Katie, how long do you think, what's your expectation?
Oh my God. Well, if we are going off the 12th, I don't want to hope for the 12th and then be disappointed and it be longer. So I'm going to say, let's just say November 17th, because we all know it's going to take a long time. I don't think it's good putting a timestamp on it. Initially, the 3rd, I was like, we'll know by Friday. We'll know by Friday for sure. That's totally changed. Every single day, something is revamping. Every single day, we're getting new information. And there's nothing worse than the hurry up and wait game. There's nothing worse than that. And that's exactly what we're going to be going through for the next couple of days.
A lot of absentee ballots still out in Georgia, from what I understand here. And the interesting thing here is that many of those absentee ballots could be military ballots. So Kyle Morris, who is a reporter for Breitbart, says roughly 47,000 absentee ballots still out, 99% of the precincts reporting. President Trump holds a narrow lead over Joe Biden, 49.51% to 49.25%. So it is absolutely a razor thin margin there. And if if every state that's close, the loser sues, I think the Electoral College votes have to be in on December 14th. The difference that we have right now in Georgia is 12,764 votes. In Nevada, and Trump is up in Georgia. In Nevada, Joe Biden is up by 11,438 votes. In North Carolina, Trump is up by 76,701 votes. And in Pennsylvania, Trump is up by 101,024 votes. So, even if those just end up staying the way they are and Arizona doesn't change, Joe Biden wins 270 to 268. So 270, that would be a Joe Biden presidency with 270 to 268, a razor thin Mitch McConnell majority in the Senate. And, as we continue to see these states or these congressional districts with 6 Republican seats gained in the House and more expected to come, it would be almost impossible for there to be more direct split down the middle.
Oh, almost impossible.
Just unbelievable. And then, what does this mean in the end? Like I'm watching as Rachel Maddow was talking about how, there was no blue wave. She said there's no blue wave. The stone was tossed into the water and there wasn't even a ripple. So it's clear to me that the people on the left, that supercut that we played before of all of these people talking about the blue wave and saying that Trump is going to be dragging down the GOP and there's going to be a Joe Biden landslide. How are they so wrong? And is it possible to live an existence that is so out of touch of reality where other people just don't think like you do, or other people just have different life structures than you do? And because something else is important to them doesn't mean it's necessarily wrong. I mean, this is a two-way street. Like, I understand people who live in the city and their lives are going to be drastically different than people who live in rural areas or just even suburban areas. But the differences that exist among us, when you listen to the way these pollsters and these people predicting what was going to happen next, when you listen to the way they talk about how this is going to go, they were just so incredibly wrong. And I would imagine, Katie, especially for people who are like in your circle, who are in their 20s, who are maybe more politically engaged than they've ever been in their life, but also, and I say this out of respect, this is just the way it goes. They haven't lived enough life on their own yet to really understand the ramifications of some of the policies that they support. I would imagine that when you hear people saying Joe Biden landslide, blue wave, and then it doesn't happen, I would imagine that really supercharges the emotion that exists in the wake of that.
Nothing but emotion from all of my friends and from my circle right now. It's really insane because I have a lot of friends that are first-time voters. So that's something that a lot of people didn't really guess whenever they were putting this into consideration with the polls, that there's a lot of people out there, it's their first time voting. And, a lot of my friends voted for Biden and they thought they were going to walk away with this November 3rd that night with a huge victory. And now days have gone by and Trump is catching up and inching closer. They're really, really freaked out. And I have a lot of text messages from people, both that voted for Trump and voted for Biden. And the biggest thing that they're saying is my anxiety is so high because I feel like I have never watched something so closely, nor have I ever felt like I cared about something in politics like I care about this. And so to me, it's like both sides of the spectrum are disappointed right now because there's no results, but they didn't even put this into consideration that the ballots, it's going to be a long, tedious, drawn-out process. And we all knew that the minute that mail-in voting was on the table. But a lot of these first-time voters didn't take that into consideration, so they thought the results were going to happen November 3rd.
And it's why it's so important that we report news in facts and that we don't contrive scenarios that are heavily based on want. It's what happened, not what do we want to have happen? Because when you put this information out into the world and you've broadcasted something like this, and especially with the polls, that one tweet that I read before that polls are meant for the politicians. People do polls so that they can make tweaks or major adjustments based on what you poll in your own campaign, so that you can adjust how you position things. I mean, they poll words. You remember what was the phrase that the Democrats had pulled during impeachment? That quid pro quo was something that they were saying all the time, and then they quit saying that, and then they started saying no one is above the law. I mean, like there's like a vocabulary test when you're doing politics, because they spend money to find out which words are going to evoke a reaction from you specifically that they want to pull out of you. What's the way that we can make voters the most angry at Donald Trump? What word really gets under their skin and really makes them feel a certain way? And then they try to manipulate that emotion at the ballot box. none of this is about reporting facts. None of this is about news. And when you merge the polling and the reporting of these polls and the scenarios that you're contriving, and you put it on the news and you're reporting it as factual information, it becomes very problematic if you're somebody who's a Trump supporter and you're hearing, big blue wave and Joe Biden landslide and Trump's dragging down the entire GOP. He'll be dragging down the entire GOP in this election. The GOP was elevated, and Donald Trump is part of that. But no Republicans walked into this election thinking this was happen. If you were like me, and if you listened to the show, you heard me say, you know what, I can't imagine that they could be as wrong in 2020 as they were in 2016. Because how could you be so wrong twice in a row? How embarrassed do you have to be to have blown it so incredibly badly in 2016 and then to do it again? And especially when you look back and you think about how people did not believe, people were unwilling to believe the results of the election because their expectations were so predetermined by something that wasn't true. You were lied to in the beginning, and that makes you not believe what's in front of your very own eyes now. And it has shaped the entire presidency for Donald Trump in his first term. The entirety of it was shaped by the idea that he wasn't supposed to win. And there has to be a reasonable explanation for it. What if the reasonable explanation was they got it so wrong when they set the initial expectations? And I think this will be talked about for centuries. this election, the way that this has gone down, and whether the president wins a second term or not. Gosh. You would assume that in 4 years, you'd be like, well, at least in 4 years, we'll have this taken care of. I would have said that 4 years ago, and yet here we are. Well, thanks for listening today. Subscribe to the Annie Frey Show podcast, and we will be back tomorrow. And with results, if they are results to report, and with entertainment regardless, if not. Stick around. DGS coming up next.
I'm not a American sweetheart.
Hey, Tony Colombo here.